All right, a Wednesday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Briscoe. Drake, we had up until 2 o'clock. We've got you for the next 4 hours. Number of things to get into today. We will talk with Cynthia Freeland coming up at 11 o'clock, NFL Network analytics expert. Then we will hang out with Ryan Tracy coming up after Cynthia Freeland. A lot of different places where you can see, hear, read.
Where can you not find Ryan Tracy?
Ryan Tracy.
It's easier to just say that.
Yeah. Name all the places you can't find Ryan Tracy. I'll tell you this, 11:25, 11:30 on Sports Radio 810 would not be in that category.
That's right.
Because that's where you can find Ryan Tracy today. Mick Schaefer will be in studio with us.
He's back.
And that is at 1 o'clock, which will be 8 o'clock his circadian rhythm time. So he's going to be, you know what, he'll be in perfect form because that's typically when he's working.
That's true. Wow, that's a good point. We might finally get Mick at his peak performance today.
Right. A lot of times at 1 o'clock when he's in here, he has just woken up.
Yeah, he's groggy.
Yeah.
Often still in his pajamas.
Clearing out the sleep in his eyes. Got
the long hats with the little
yawning
pom-pom on the end.
That's right.
Little candle.
Coming in his pajamas from time to time.
Nightgown.
That's right. He's still wearing his house slippers.
Always. That's actually, that has been true at least a time or two.
Don't understand why he wears the smoker's jacket in here.
I do. Because he feels good in it.
That's right. It just feels good.
I would do better radio if I was wearing a smoking jacket, I think.
I don't know if Mick knows this or not, but I want to get Mick's Learn Funniest Best from Germany. Because he wasn't with us on Monday. He was flying back. So what did he learn? What is funniest? What the best was in the time he was in Germany? So we'll do that coming up with Mick Schaefer at 1 o'clock. Tonight you got some Hawk Talk with Lance Leipold and KU getting ready for Texas Tech this weekend. Mizzou, Tennessee, K-State, Baylor. Not much line movement on those, all three of those games. So 913-912-4810 is the text line to be a part of the show. 913-912-4810, the text line to join us today. And we'll also, I want to get into some college football today as well. We'll certainly do that as the show progresses. Let's start with some Chiefs in a surprising turn of events. We'll start with Chiefs today. The New Heights podcast dropped this morning. And while there is no media availability for the Chiefs, we get to hear Travis Kelce weigh in on some things. And let's be honest, in more candid fashion, in more candid form. When he's got that platform, he's usually more open and honest as opposed to being at a podium and talking with the media and maybe a little more guarded in his words. So Travis Kelce on the New Heights podcast, along with one of the sexiest men alive in Jason Kelce.
Not a joke. That, like, officially, legally, this is true now.
It's always been true for me.
Yeah, of course.
Looking at him. But I'm just glad that everybody else has recognized what 2023 sex appeal looks like.
That's exactly right.
And it's Jason Kelce.
And it looks like Jason bleeping Kelce.
I mean, y'all can have McDreamy. Okay, I know Patrick Dempsey, officially the sexiest man alive. Which, by the way,
what year is it? Oh, God. Finally, a good break for him.
Yes. Can we just call it the sexiest man, the sexiest, most famous man alive? The sexiest famous man alive. Because there isn't some random dude from Ottawa who's in the running for sexiest man alive. It's athletes and actors and performers. It's a sexy man alive that people have heard of. Is mostly what it is, according to People magazine.
For me, this fell from an award that was on par with a Nobel Prize.
Absolutely.
To basically nothing when they gave it to Blake Shelton. I mean, what are we doing?
I mean, Harrison Ford a few years ago, really.
How recently did Harrison Ford get it?
I don't know. Paul Rudd deserving.
Absolutely,
a couple years ago, Paul Rudd deserving.
And a lot of these are lifetime achievement awards, and that's okay.
Paul Rudd spent a lifetime of being sexy.
That's exactly right, and it's time he gets an award for it. Dempsey even more so. I mean, he's 57.
Yeah. I mean,
he's been sexy for a long time.
He started in being sexy in Can't Buy Me Love, right? I mean, Ronald and Donald and just ripping the sleeves off, and all of a sudden he was really cool. You bleeped on my house, man. You bleeped on my house.
Paul Rudd won it at 52. He looks younger than Chris Evans, who won it the next year. I'm on the website.
As you should be. Yeah, I mean...
none of these guys are Jason Kelce, though.
Dempsey's like the third oldest man to win it. So good for him.
He looks great.
Lifetime Achievement Award, yeah. Apparently, to be the sexiest man alive, he said he went on a really big diet and also worked out a lot for the photo shoot. So the picture of him in People magazine as the sexiest man alive is not actually what he looked like before he was named the sexiest man alive. By the way, just as a Jason Kelce, that's what he looked like. The picture for
exactly
Kelce
right.
is what he looked like. Patrick Dempsey, while very good looking, admitted on Jimmy Kimmel last night that he spent a lot of time working out and dieting for the picture. Just saying.
Gotta be tough for him to know definitively that he has reached his peak sexiness. Like that it is downhill
Yes,
from there.
Absolutely. Texter says, it's me, a listener in Ottawa. Well done.
Yeah.
Good for you.
How sexy are you?
It's about time you got a little recognition for that appeal that you got going on.
Harrison Ford won it in 1998. That's deserved.
Yeah. You know what? And he was old then.
56. You're right, man. Harrison Ford's been old for a while.
He's been old for a while. Well, back then, 56 wasn't the new 46.
Clooney won it before. He won it in 97.
That's crazy. Yeah. We need to get some younger guys in here.
Yeah, again, like, let me write down that. This whole segment's I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with this whole segment for the cuts, but that one will make it. Chris Evans winning in 2022, I think, was probably the youngest winner in a while.
Yeah. Text says Jason Kelce is the manliest man of the year.
Yeah, I don't even think
he is a man's man.
I don't even think that's a question. Like, if you needed. If you needed a man to be sexy and chop down a tree, Jason Kelce might be the number one overall pick at this point.
That's probably right.
The Kelce brothers are both, top 5.
Yes.
I wonder if Travis is a little jealous. He's plenty famous right now. He doesn't need the extra shine.
But I wouldn't turn to Travis Kelce to help me change out a light fixture in the house.
Yep.
I need to take down this wall. Jason, can you help me? I got some demo going on. All right.
I would absolutely trust Jason Kelce to do a home improvement project.
Yeah.
No question.
Travis, I would trust him to be able to pay for somebody to come in and do it for him.
Also true.
Yeah. I mean, they both made enough money to where they don't have to do it.
But Jason would want to do it himself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jason seems like a guy who would want to do the home improvement project himself. I think most Jasons are like that, right, Drake?
Absolutely.
Yes. Actually, wow, interesting.
I want to do it myself.
I didn't realize how much of a Travis I was.
You're a Kelce. You're Travis. Sorry, not Kelce. You're Travis.
I've been misnamed.
The time that I interviewed one of the sexiest men alive.
Aw.
That's my favorite bit in the world.
Wasn't that at the unveiling of the sexiest man alive that you were there for? We thought Tony Gonzalez was good. What year was Harrison Ford?
98.
98. Okay, so we thought Elvis Gerback or Rich Gannon. Remember that one? It was the Elvis Gerback and the Rich Gannon. They thought they were getting Rich Gannon, then they accidentally got Elvis Gerback.
I don't
Do you remember that whole story?
I don't.
Yeah, they were deciding on the sexiest man alive, and there was a miscommunication. They wanted the Chiefs' backup quarterback.
Oh my goodness, what?
But when they picked finally the Chiefs' backup quarterback, Gerback had already been injured, and Rich Gannon was the starter. So they went with the backup quarterback, the injured Elvis Gerback, thinking that's who they wanted to be the sexiest man alive. It was supposed to be Rich Gannon, and it ended up being Elvis Gerback.
That's unbelievable.
Isn't that amazing?
How did that? Yeah,
so
that's amazing.
Once they reached out and did the photo shoot, and the people were like, "Who's this?" Like, the sexiest man, the guy you talked about for the Chiefs. Like, no, this isn't the guy. We wanted the other guy. You said the backup quarterback. That guy's starting. But no, this guy was the starter. That guy was the backup. Phenomenal story.
He's barefoot in these pictures too, which is weird.
Do you think maybe they were looking for Travis and they got Jason?
Hey, bring me Kelce.
We need Kelce. Okay, Jason, the New Heights podcast, Kelce. Remember, the Philadelphia guy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Jason. Yeah. No, I meant the guy that played Philadelphia in the Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl
Dang
Kelce. Yeah. We got you.
So there you go. There's our
so good, man.
Zone typically on a Wednesday, November 8th. Start with the sexiest man alive bit. There we go.
Well, we had that scheduled for months. I'm just really glad that they put a sports guy up there because otherwise it would have been way harder for us to talk about Patrick Dempsey for 15 minutes.
Well, I think when the issue comes out, I think they also have different categories of rankings.
Yeah, because Elvis Gerbach was named the sexiest athlete in 1998, but that was the Harrison Ford year. So that you've got that. You have a perfect timeline of all of this. The photos of Elvis Gerbach are so strange.
Because I don't want to give it away when the issue comes out, but they do have the pick for the sexiest athlete alive. You'll be shocked as to who it is. Especially when it's voted.
Oh, really?
When they vote. It's a vote. Who's gonna bombard the voting?
I guess Omar Infante is the sexiest man alive.
Travis Kelce. Swifties got involved.
Wow.
Travis Kelce is the
okay.
sexiest athlete alive.
I didn't know how. I was not familiar with the voting setup. I was not familiar
So-
with the categories. I just saw the Jason Kelce photos and was done with the bit at that point.
So they
I knew we
did
had
the,
enough to work with.
They did like the voting of the sexiest entertainer or singer or actor or whatever, and sexiest athlete. Travis Kelce beat Lewis Hamilton, the race car driver. Joe Burrow finished third, and Shohei Ohtani finished fourth.
Huge for baseball.
That's an entire country. The Swifties.
They are a bit of a country in and of themselves.
Swifties outvoted a country.
They're a nation.
That's right. So Travis Kelce.
Jason Kelce was apparently asked on radio in Philly about being named as a finalist there. He said, "I'm
Yeah.
not even the sexiest man in my family."
That's great. It's his dad.
Ed's got to get the next highlight.
So from this morning, the podcast that was released, the Jerick McKinnon touchdown that put the Chiefs up 14-0 was a big play because it was 3rd and 3. And as we've talked about before, I think if that play is incomplete, I think it's 10-0. Andy Reid's not going for it on 4th and 3. So they complete that pass. It was a great play, a great design, and it certainly looked like Travis Kelce was a decoy on that because there were 3 Dolphins that stayed with Kelce, who was running a slant, and Jerick McKinnon comes out of the backfield, and typically the Chiefs are sending their running backs to the flat, and he cut across the field, and nobody was there because everybody was paying attention to Travis Kelce. So here's the conversation between Jason and Travis about that play, and I love Jason just bringing up the decoy part of it.
Somebody else open, and sure enough, he knew exactly who was going to be open. Yeah, on 3rd down, they just throughout the game, it kind of felt like they were either going to have a bracket or some sort of man hold defender waiting for me on the other side, knowing that I have an ability to not really run away from guys, but take their feet to where I can, create some separation across the field or get them thinking I'm going across field and go the other way. So it's just, being dealt with the cards that I'm being dealt with. That's just frustrating, but at the same time, it's football, man. And you got to just trust that everybody else around you is going to get open and going to do their job, man.
I can imagine for Travis Kelce it being frustrating that I'm doing these things, they're bracketing me. How are you guys not open?
Yep.
How is there nobody open out there? Come on, guys. Because there's so much there to discuss and break down. When he talks about playing with the cards I'm dealt, I think he's talking about a lack of athleticism compared to some of the other wide receivers in the league and maybe losing a step or two. I think, as he's saying, I can turn the feet of the defender to gain some separation. To me, that's an inside glimpse of you don't have to be Tyreek Hill twitchy fast to gain separation in the NFL. It's a skill. It's an instinct. It's a study, right? It's an art form to be able to run a certain way, and as that the defender's hip is starting to turn or feet there, that's when you move a different direction. And sort of you're reading their body movement while also understanding where my route is. That's difficult to do. Travis Kelce's been in the league for a long time. And that guy, the big Yeti, as Jason calls him, can gain separation and not be a guy who's so fast and quick. And yeah, there are times when a linebacker's on him. Okay, so he's gaining some separation on a linebacker. But if it's a quick little move here or there, to gain some separation, if he can do that, then certainly somebody with more athleticism and quickness, they may be going up against somebody in a cornerback that also has more athleticism and quickness as well than a linebacker. But you can find those small little margins to be able to get open by more than just, 1.5 yards, which there's a receiver on the Chiefs that's, separation of about, less than 2 yards on the season. I'm not going to say who. I'm just saying the sky is not the limit for that guy. But I loved that part of it, too. That's a very small little aspect because there's so much more in there, like the receivers doing their job and things like that. But that stood out to me as in the cards I'm dealt, meaning I've got to go about it different than to get open.
It's funny because I think when I heard him say deal with the cards I'm dealt, I was thinking about the defense dealing him those cards, not about his own physical traits.
Maybe that is.
But the crazy thing is it works either way.
Yeah.
The impact is the same. The dismount is the same.
He said the feet for the other and get their feet moving and deal with the cards. So I looked at it as okay,
I thought he said take their feet, and so we're gonna have to revisit it again. I've only heard that clip now 4 times, so maybe the 5th time I'll figure it out. But in that context, in terms of what the defense is doing, and again, just if we can zoom in on that specific touchdown, what the defense is doing in terms of the attention they're paying to him, if it's his skill set or if it's how the defense is focusing and defending him, and you talk more about how the Dolphins were defending the Chiefs in the second half altogether, but in the way that you are demanding the gravity of the defense that way, that's when it's frustrating to say, hey, I'm out here doing my job and I'm doing my stuff, but the defense is going to make sure I'm not the guy that can beat them, even if I am taking them with me and I'm making them follow me around and I'm the first read on a play where I do everything right, but I am taken out of the play by what the defense is doing. That's frustrating. But whatever the path there is, the final bit there stands out to me regardless. I don't think it's Travis Kelce trying to subliminally message the wide receivers, but I wonder if it's just a thing that has been discussed time and time and time again in those offensive meeting rooms of you got to trust other guys to do their job and get open. And this is just objectively true, even as I find myself maybe slightly more optimistic than average on where the receivers are going to go in the second half of the season. If Travis Kelce is demanding the attention of 3 defensive backs, one guy should not be open. 2 should. There should be a guy wide open somewhere, and someone else should have some leverage. You just cannot play football that way. You couldn't cover Gronk with 3 guys because Julian Edelman was going to rip your throat out if you ended up trying to play defense that way. So that whole idea of, hey, we got to just trust everybody else to do their job, that's great. But when you lose that trust, when suddenly you can't trust the other guys to get open, when you are demanding all that attention, I imagine it would be very, very, very frustrating.
So I want to get into a little bit more about this and the trust other guys to do their job if you have so much attention on you. I went down a rabbit hole of DVOA and Aaron Schatz and the different stats that he has, the advanced analytics with those things. I started off just looking at total for a team where the Chiefs come in and rank. They've moved up to number 2 on the season in DVOA after the game against the Dolphins. They were number 4 last week in total. They're number 2 right now. Quite a margin behind the Ravens, who are by far the best team on the season in DVOA. Aaron Schatz even saying, I don't think the Ravens are this good. I think they are playing like this right now. We'll see as the season progresses. But his point was, I don't think they are this historically good. The Chiefs are a 29.6 DVOA. Second place is a 24 or something. The Ravens are a 49. Or a third place is
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's okay, so they're not one of the greatest teams we've ever seen assembled. How they're playing right now, and that is also defense adjusted. So, and we'll see. They're going up against what Aaron Schatz has called one of the best defenses we've seen in a long time in the Cleveland Browns. How they are playing this year, and it's defense adjusted. He's saying that's historical. The level they are playing at right now, So we'll see what the Ravens look like. If they put 35, 40 points on the board against the Browns defense, yeah, then I think the Chiefs would have something to worry about in the playoffs because they're going to have to score some points. And can they win a shootout? That's going to be a big question moving forward for the Chiefs. They may not have to, but the question I think is legit to ask if they need to, is this offense capable and suited and good enough to win a shootout? So I went down that rabbit hole, but then it quickly evolved into looking at wide receivers specifically and individually across the league. And some certain things stood out, which I want to get into and sort of plays into what Travis Kelce was talking about. We'll also hear him talk about what the Dolphins did to stunt the offense, him passing Tony Gonzalez, and how many miles he's caught in his career. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. Cynthia Freeland coming up at 11 o'clock. Ryan Tracy about 11:25, 11:30 or so. Mick Schaefer, 1 o'clock. More's on next. All right, so I've told you about my friends over at Guaranteed Foods, Tom Williams and his staff, how awesome they have been to work with, how great they are to work with. America's finest home food service, as all-encompassing as it gets. They're not just sending you a little bit of food and some ingredients and then the directions in a recipe. No, man, they're sending you your menu. You work with them like we did to create an entire menu with a 180-day supply of food and all different types of food, over 600 restaurant-quality gourmet products. There's a key there. Restaurant quality, not grocery store quality. There is a difference. It includes 100% all-natural meats, fruits, and vegetables. Our kids, ourselves, we are eating more nutritious. We've got busy schedules like everybody else does. Little man's birthday on Monday. Jules' dance last night. Little man's got basketball practice tonight. And we're able to have nutritious meals cooked and as a family with Guaranteed Foods, because the buy-back packaged and individual portions allows us to go and make something just for Everett or just for Jules or just for Kaylin or just for me, or make it something for the whole family. And the individual packages means that there aren't a bunch of leftovers. It also means that, hey, we've got this portion of corn. Oh, I want a little bit more. All right, well, we don't have to go and open up a brand new can. We could just go right out to the Guaranteed Foods heavy-duty commercial food service center, boom, open up the freezer and grab a little bit more, put it on the plate, ready to go. And that is a convenience that we have never experienced before, and it is a convenience that we get time back in our lives by being able to work and working with Guaranteed Foods and what they have done. It's been fantastic. Give them a call, 913-888-5000. Set up the in-home consultation. They'll go through everything that they can provide for you, all the different benefits that you'll see with your family. It's guaranteedfoods.com, 913-888-5000. Guaranteed Foods, delivering all-natural food to Midwestern families since 1958. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Briscoe, Drake. We head up until 2 o'clock. Cynthia Freeland comes our way at 11. 913-912-4810. Text says, I think Kelsey was saying he knows he's the main option. The other receivers are basic, and he's getting held, beat up, and quadruple teamed is the cards he's dealt. Or he meant Veach as the dealer, dealing him 2-3 offset with his receiver drafts. Here's 2-3 offset there, Travis.
Hey, Rashee Rice
Go
is
win.
like Rashee Rice might be.
Go in a final hand.
He might be a queen. I don't know. There's not.
Hope he's a damn king, man.
We're the king in progress. Not an ace yet.
People think Sky's the Joker.
Hey-oh.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I don't think those. They're a joker because they're not supposed to be in there. Someone's supposed to take this out. Where's Kadarius Toney?
Yeah, you can't always live
I guess
with
his
just.
nickname is a joker. So.
That's true. That's where I should have gone. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It still worked. Okay, so hold on. Kadarius Toney is the joker because Andy Reid doesn't put him in the deck. There you go.
Maybe. Yes.
At least got that one.
And you can't just live on the one ace up your sleeve in Kelsey.
No.
You got to have more than that.
Especially when that ace has been up in your sleeve for about 10 years now.
That's right. And they are all up in his sleeve in trying to make sure he does not get the football. But it is like that specific play with the touchdown to Jerick McKinnon is a beautiful play design because the Chiefs, again, typically send their running backs out in the flat. And McKinnon, steps up and then cuts to the right across the field. And it's perfectly timed because Travis Kelce is running a slant and they've got a zone defense with their linebackers, and the guy who's on Kelce is handing him off to the guy who was guarding McKinnon out of the backfield. As McKinnon runs straight up the field, he's got him. McKinnon then cuts to his right, the defender's left, and as McKinnon's cutting, that defender is receiving Kelce in the handoff, but the defender that's handing Kelce off to the next one doesn't see McKinnon cutting across the field. Also because that's not typically what the Chiefs do. So you have the guy who's supposed to be filling the zone where McKinnon is heading to, staying with Kelce a little bit because there's nobody in his area, and it's Travis Kelce, and it's 3rd and 3, and McKinnon breaks free. There's nobody there because the guy who had McKinnon was like, yo, I got Kelce. What are you doing? And it's a touchdown. Beautiful design and perfectly timed. If McKinnon cuts earlier, that guy with Kelce in the area might stay and have the handoff and stay there with McKinnon, and it might be a little more difficult. I don't know, but it was incredibly well timed. Maybe that's what the design of the play was, but as Kelce said, the play was actually designed to go to him first, which I think most plays are.
Didn't Nagy get asked about that a couple weeks ago? Like what percentage of the plays Kelce was the first read on? I put this bug in Seth.
Yes.
I put this bug in Seth Kaiser's ear, hoping that he would do the work for us because I know it's going to be a hard thing to gauge, but I would love to know what it looks like the primary reads have been across the offense the last 3 weeks or something like that to see, hey, if Rashee Rice is out there winning, but Mahomes never gets to him in the progression. Is that the problem? Reid talked about making Kadarius Toney the point of too many primary reads in week 1, and then I don't know that he's been the primary read on much anything since then, or he, truthfully, he has been, but it's the only time it's been in like Kadarius Toney plays and packages. So I'm really curious about all that.
Well, and how much of Travis Kelce is just somebody that Mahomes is staring down.
Right.
That phenomenal Rashee Rice catch on 3rd down and 5. Oh. Watching the all-22, Travis Kelce's wide open.
Really? Interesting.
Wide open. Travis Kelce's running the opposite. Travis Kelce's running to Mahomes' right. So if you're looking at the end zone behind the play, Kelce lines up on the left side. He runs a slant and over, and Rashee Rice then runs the out, and nobody goes with Kelce on the over.
Interesting.
He's open. He's wide open, in fact. And Mahomes throws to a guy with 2 guys on him. 2 guys near him, and Rashee Rice, who makes a diving catch. Phenomenal throw. Great catch by Rashee Rice. But that's one of those to where we would look at it and go, boy, you forced it to Kelce, and look, Sky Moore's wide open here.
Right.
That was really interesting to me because if he was in a mode of just staring down Kelce, that might have been at that point, that was still the second quarter, that might have been at that point that Kelce had so much attention that he started looking elsewhere.
Yeah.
Instead of staring down Kelce, or I'm going to force feed Kelce here because these guys are all over it, and maybe he expected all these guys to stay with Kelce, and that's why Rice was going to be open, and I'm going to throw it that way. Maybe a predetermined read. I don't know. I don't know how much Patrick Mahomes does that. He's pretty damn good at reading defenses pre-snap. But it's just fascinating to see that as Mahomes is holding the ball, it's not like he's already thrown it and then Kelsey busts wide open.
Right, he's there.
It's in front of him, and he just has to lob it to Kelsey running to Mahomes' right, and he'll catch it. It's 5 yards. He'll pick up probably 10, 15. It was a completed pass.
Yep.
Worked. They scored. But I thought that was really interesting. And it leads me into one of the things in the rabbit holes I went down with DVOA, which then went into wide receivers DYAR, which is just the defense adjusted yards above average. It is a season total. It's a total value for the season put into a number that is translated to yards. Okay, so if it's like he's a 52, well, no, it's 52 yards that he's picked up above average on the season. Defense adjusted. Okay. Then I also looked at DVOA for wide receivers, which is a per play value. And there's a percentage to it, but it's a per play value, like a percentage above replacement level that player is getting on a per play value compared to what an average replacement level wide receiver would be. Then I looked at YAC. Then I looked at catch percentage just because I started going down the rabbit hole. And I limited it to 24 targets because 24 targets this year, if you go through...
It's like a minimum, you mean?
Yeah,
like
minimum. If you go through just one target on the season,
sure. It's
there's 184 different receivers that have received at least one target this year. Okay, 184 receivers. If I limit it to 24, which is what the top 5 receivers for the Chiefs, MVS and Tony and Sky and Watson, Rice, those guys, have at least 24 targets. There are 91 receivers in the league that have received at least 24 targets.
Okay.
So I looked at the yards above average, yards above a replacement player on every throw, and it's a total. So far this year, Rashee Rice is the best of the 5. He's 22nd in the NFL at 109 yards for Rashee Rice above replacement level this year, 22nd in the NFL. Number one's A.J. Brown, shocker.
Yeah.
He's been dynamite.
His is actually 1,000 yards above expected. It's wild.
It's almost like 400. It is pretty stupid. It is pretty dumb.
Unbelievable.
So and I guess that's what happens when you have like 5 straight games of 120 yards receiving. Those above replacement level, it's going to be stacking up.
You would have to actually stack up 2 replacement level receivers on top of each other to replace A.J. Brown.
Second most on the Chiefs, comes in at 37th.
No matter what, I'm going to get mad.
Yeah, no, you're fine. It's Justin Watson.
You know what? That's fine.
He has
that
62.
Feels right.
Third most is MVS. Mm-hmm. He has 52. It's 39th in the NFL. So 22nd for Rashee Rice, 37th for Watson, 39th for MVS. Kind of the same guys.
Yep.
Remember, there are 91 players that qualify here. Sky Moore comes in at 72nd. He is minus 8 yards receiving over replacement.
So he is a less than replacement level player.
He has
this year.
8 fewer yards receiving compared to the passes thrown his way, what he's done with the ball, et cetera.
It's not. There is not an average receiver that has 8 more yards receiving than Sky Moore. It is adjusted for the surroundings and all of that.
The expected yards adjusted to 0. And then this is what this player has
adds or
presented.
subtracts. Yeah.
Kadarius Toney comes in at 84th of 91 players. He has a total of minus 52.
Yeah, he's just not going to be able to shake week 1 in any of these stats.
Week 1 is difficult, but he has a total of minus 52 yards receiving. He earned some back, against Miami in that one reception and being able to break a few tackles after he got to a defender. He was wide open, so that would be replacement level. But replacement level would not have taken the hit, spun away, picked up another 7-8 yards like he did. But yeah, week 1, when you've got the drop passes, when you've got what could be a 35-yard pass on that final drive that he just drops, it's tough to overcome when you aren't getting a whole lot of targets and you're not doing a whole lot with those targets.
Yeah.
Then I looked at the average and value per play. Per play, not the total over the season. Mm-hmm. This was per play. Again, 91 receivers. Rashee Rice comes in at 15th in the NFL, around 21.5%. So he's 21.5% better than replacement level on a per play average. Rashee Rice. maybe there should be some more plays for him.
That's what that would indicate, right? I mean, he's outperforming his usage.
What's also surprising is Justin Watson is 16th.
Really?
And MVS is 18th. Thought that was pretty surprising. MVS comes in at 16%. So he's been 16% above replacement level. He should be better than replacement level. He's getting $11 million per year.
I've got a way to twist all this also. I love it. Developing a take.
Sky Moore comes in at 74th.
Who?
And Kadarius Toney is 86th out of 91.
Yeah.
Kadarius Toney is minus 36% below a replacement level player on a per target basis.
I'm choosing to ignore the Kadarius Toney part of all of this.
Great.
Totally just subjectively to protect myself.
Yards after catch. Rashee Rice is first in the NFL right now,
No kidding.
averaging 8.2 yards after catch. He is tied with Deebo Samuel.
Wow.
Rashee Rice is.
Wow.
Yards after catch, 8.2. Second most on the Chiefs, comes in at 20th. MVS has 5 yards. Then Kadarius Toney, 23rd. He's at 4.9. Sky Moore, 31st at 4.5. And then Justin Watson, 88th out of 91 at 1.9. But when you think of Justin Watson's catches, a lot of them are on the sideline.
They are he's horizontal by the end of the catch.
They're contested catches where then he's coming
Yes.
down on the ground, or those great sideline catches
Yes.
where the yards after catch are 0.
Yes.
Okay, so when he's got...
Mahomes has not hit him in
yes.
stride once this year, I don't
Yes.
think, now that you say that.
He's averaging essentially 2 yards per catch, yards after catch. 2 yards after catch per reception this year. And then I looked at catch percentage, and even with the drops, Rashee Rice has the 6th best in the NFL at 78%. Then you go to Kadarius Toney as 20th. Then
Give him a chance.
MVS is 65th. Justin Watson is 73rd, and Sky Moore is 82nd out of 91. And by the way, the depth of target does not work in Sky Moore's favor in the completion percentage because catch percentage, because Watson and MVS are guys that get the ball down the field, and Sky Moore's not doing that. So those are the sort of the raw numbers that are there.
It's very interesting.
That Rashee Rice has been the best of the season-long total value, per play value, yards after catch value, catch percentage when you're throwing it to him, he's catching it, even with the drops.
And some of his drops have been in good
Yes.
yak situations as well that could have bolstered those numbers even
Yes.
more.
And Tech says Rice's catch percentage is depth of target driven. It is to a degree, but explain Sky Moore.
Right.
Because Sky Moore is depth of target driven as well. And yes, I would like to see Rashee Rice down the field a little bit more.
1,000%.
And maybe we'll see that. And if his catch percentage drops, but his yards are picking up and the value is picking up, hey, that's an exchange I think you'll take.
Yep.
But I've got a few takeaways from this that I want to get into. And there's an interesting tie-in to when we talk about this receiving core compared to, I don't know, let's say last year, a team and a receiving core they won a Super Bowl with. And then Josh has a little spin
I'm writing it down.
to this as well.
I'm spinning it.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll take that for a spin next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch.
Well, look, the wait is over. NBA fans, basketball's back. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, celebrating an unbeatable offer. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets for throwing down, just $5 on the NBA. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. You'll start the season with an instant dub. Put $5 on an NBA game, it loses. It doesn't matter. You got $200 in bonus bets. It wins. Hey, you won your bet. And you get $200 in bonus bets. Nothing wrong with that. And with DraftKings Parlays, everyone's got a shot at even bigger basketball wins. You string together multiple bets from the same game or build your parlay across multiple games for a shot at making your payday even sweeter. Look, basketball's more fun when you're in on the action, so download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code 810WHB. New customers can get $200 in bonus bets instantly for betting just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code 810WHB. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Physically present in Kansas. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball. Terms on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort.
When people think football, they think Kansas City. When people think consistent, exceptional service from a highly trained barber, they should think of Roosters Men's Group.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Briscoe, Drake. We'll talk with Cynthia Freeland coming up at 11 o'clock. All right, that top is right in front of you.
Spin it on, and we're going to all find out if we're dreaming or not.
Spin away.
Here's the one that really jumped out to me when the value per play numbers all jumped for those receivers.
Yeah.
Here's my take. I haven't had a chance to revisit this. I'm going to say it. This is really sports radio at its core.
Yeah.
You said some stats, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to explain it perfectly by giving it no extra thought beyond the work you've already done.
Yes.
I think the value per play jump up for MVS and Justin Watson and some of the others, that is no longer a wide receiver stat. That is a quarterback stat. Because if your value in aggregate is fluctuating or unreliable or lower altogether, but your per play value is up, your quarterback is delivering the football to you in good situations at good times, but not so frequently as he would with Travis Kelce, where sometimes you're going to get the ball in less than ideal situations. So that's my attempt to marry the issues we all see with some of those numbers being better than others. I think you can have Mahomes still have trust issues, and he's not going to please ignore the percentages here, a 70% open MVS. He's going to a 90% open MVS, or if it's a 60-40 ball to Justin Watson, although he actually has thrown some of those to him weirdly. But the situation for the receivers on a per play basis, I think, reflects on Mahomes when that part individually gets better. That's one little narrow bit of it, but I think that makes sense to me. Tell me if that makes sense to you.
It makes sense to me. It does, and I think there's there's also a little bit of so the season average, as you're looking at every single play sort of thrown their way, if you've got Watson and MVS that maybe have some deeper shots, season average can fluctuate, whereas per play, if you've got one play that's an 80 and one play that's a 40, well, now it averages out to a 60, whereas over the course of the season, it's still a 120, and maybe somebody else has, two different 70s, and now it's a 140 and you're down there. So a per play average sort of deal with the value that they present there.
And I bet MVS's depth of target this year is, I have to imagine it's pretty far down, because they have made an effort to get him involved in some of that intermediate stuff also.
Yeah, to a degree, but he hasn't really received a whole lot of targets in that intermediate area. And even the intermediate area, I don't even know what the air yards would have been for MVS on the first play of the game against the Dolphins when he had that little fake block sort of wheel run up. It was probably like 15 yards.
I was going to say 12. So something in that category.
He got to the 40. He rolled to the 47. So when he caught it, because he turned around, caught it, and then fell and rolled. So they were at the 25. He rolled to the 47. So probably 25 to the 40. Or 44. So it was probably like 16, 17 air yards.
His average depth of target this year is 16.5 yards still, which is right up there with his usuals. His yards per game is way down, which is unsurprising, but that's kind of interesting.
Here's the tie-in that I thought you would absolutely love.
Okay.
So when we look at this wide receiver core compared to last year, et cetera, et cetera. So the total value of the season, the defense adjusted yards above average. It's a season stat, total value of season. We mentioned Rice comes in at 22nd, at number 22. Last year, Juju Smith-Schuster ranked 21st.
That's perfect.
The value per play. Rashee Rice this year is 15th. Last year, Juju came in 19th. The yards after catch. This year, Rashee Rice is tied for first. Last year, Juju came in 5th. Catch percentage, Rashee Rice is 6th at 78%. Last year, Juju was 2nd at 77%. So I ask, as the season goes on, is this receiving core so much worse than a year ago when you essentially exchanged Rashee Rice for Juju Smith-Schuster, and looking at the advanced analytics through the first 9 games, not a 5-year vet in Juju Smith-Schuster, a guy who's played 9 games in his entire career in Rashee Rice, that the numbers compared to the rest of the league and how the rest of the league is playing, because, you've got to compare it to the rest of the league because offense is down this year, as compared to other years, where in 2018, I don't know what Rashee Rice's numbers this year would look like compared to the rest of the league when people were, still playing single high, et cetera. But if you're exchanging Rashee Rice for Juju Smith-Schuster, those numbers essentially have said you're exchanging the same person for the same person in terms of value and effectiveness and per play and season, you may not be getting the target share, but you're getting the same effect, the same production, essentially, on an advanced analytics statistical scale with Juju. And then you've got MVS and Watson and Sky Moore and the guys that were essentially there, McCole, who were there a year ago.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I mean, we talked many times. Some of the time, I even remembered when we talked about Sky Moore being the desired next man up in the Juju role for the Chiefs. I still think that's absolutely what they wanted to have happen, but it hasn't. And so
and this isn't saying he's running the same routes as Juju.
No, but
it's just essentially the value he's presenting.
Productivity and value and all of that. Yeah, so efficiency, like in that, and I think they are starting to use him more in that way in terms of the moments, you know, in terms of, hey, third and 5 or whatever, we need you to get exactly to the sticks, or here's a little screen where you can burst some. But I think it can all synthesize when we think about the fact that Rashee Rice was supposed to be brought in more slowly, that Sky Moore was supposed to be the one having the Juju numbers this year. But now, and I think this is a big bye week thing, as Rice's snaps have gone up, from the bye week on out, Rashee Rice, you're going to be out there a very similar number of snaps that Juju was last year. That wasn't the plan. You're a rookie. We weren't going to do this to you, but clearly you are the guy here now. And then if Sky Moore is just last year's Sky Moore, if all of those guys sort of repeat from last year, MVS probably taking a little step back, but if it's pretty close from the rest of that group, I really do think you could say without there being another step from Sky Moore or a larger role for Kadarius Toney, the offense could get closer to last year's group just by doubling down on Rashee Rice in terms of the usage. I think that's really interesting.
That to me is where the bye week right now, and looking at these numbers from a year ago, what does Rashee Rice look like the rest of the year? Does he become a guy that Mahomes relies on and goes to, or they just simply create plays for him? Because, again, that 3rd and 5 is significant to me because Kelce was wide open, and he threw it to Rashee Rice, who came through.
Yep.
He made the catch, diving catch, held onto the football, picked up the first down. If he drops the ball, next time in that situation, is Mahomes going to trust him? Is he going to stare down Kelce? And maybe Kelce's guarded that time, but he came through. Shocking that's the last throw his way. Really surprising that was the last throw his way for the game. I would guess that will change as the weeks go on and as the bye week is here, because he's the one that can help make a difference. Yes, let's talk with Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert, joining us here in the Zone on this Wednesday. Cynthia, welcome into the show. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. How are you?
I am doing just fine. Bye week for the Chiefs, and they head into the bye week at 7-2, and wrapped up a pretty big game over the weekend against the Dolphins and got the win, and still remain the number one seed, and with that nice little tiebreaker head-to-head over the Miami Dolphins. We'll just start with what did you see in that game, and any takeaways from the Chiefs winning 21-14?
Well, the defense looked insane. So good. Came out with a ton of energy. I mean, both sides of the ball really came out really strong. But I really want to point out the fact, look, Nick Bolton is a huge part of this team, and him going on IR created some changes that had to be accounted for. And that was kind of the thing where when I'm looking at the ahead of the game against the Dolphins, you're like, okay, how do you split on this track meet when you're adjusting to some differences on the defense? And the answer is, well, no problem.
Which is
you just
nuts.
do it.
Yeah, which is crazy. I mean, is that players? Is it scheme? Is it both? Maybe as to how they slow down the track meet with no Nick Bolton.
I mean, I think that the plan to stop Tyreek Hill created, and the fact that it was working, created a really nice opportunity to keep some momentum. And the word momentum is interesting because I think there's like a psychological component to it. As a math person, I viewed it in a different way from like a math standpoint. But if you feel like you have a strong handle on the team's, obviously Tyreek Hill had some extra motivation. He told Michael Irvin that he had some special touchdown dance. We didn't get to see it, but it was an interesting kind of matchup. But having such a good plan against him and against those quick passes, I think the fact that it was working kind of was built on itself psychologically, and that's what kept getting them into better situations and better situations.
Yeah, a math person saying momentum. Is there a glitch in the matrix? What happened? What went on there? Somebody.
I think it's a true it's a true factor of psychology, right? Like if we can get ourselves into a better situation and we can see things, we're calmer, we're not activated in our amygdala, all of those things. I don't necessarily think it's because the last play was this, it means that the next play is that. I do believe that there are mental components, though, that human beings all have where we're less, your amygdala hijack makes you go into fight or flight. And if you're not in fight or flight and you're calm and relaxed, you can see and execute a lot better. So I think that's more what I mean when I say momentum.
Yeah, the amygdala is something that Josh and I talk about quite often on the show, and the impact of just those different emotions surrounding that, and the medulla oblongata. We discuss that quite often.
Absolutely, can't forget that.
No, why would you? I mean, why would you? I think it's a great point because I've always felt like the momentum. And we say in baseball, momentum is only as big as the next day's starting pitcher, right? But that's also a day in between, a game when you play baseball. Whereas in a game, if you're saying there's a pitcher on the mound who's starting to struggle and it's a home team at the plate and the crowd, like in Philadelphia for baseball, the crowd is feeling like it is just on top of you and deafening and it feels like you're sort of crumbling a little bit. Yeah, that's some momentum. That's the psychological part to where one side is more locked in and feels way more confident. Confidence is an amazing thing in sports. One side feels more confident and the other side starts to feel a little more pessimistic. In football and basketball, whatever that might be, you kind of feel like there's an avalanche heading your way as opposed to, no, you're the snowball rolling downhill. And that just sort of mindset is to me, that's what momentum is, not necessarily what some people scoff at and get annoyed by.
Yeah, I think the thing people get annoyed at is they use it as causal, right? Because in week 7, this happened, then in week 8, this is going to happen. And that's not the case. I actually think Andy Reid does a good job with mental momentum busters because every time you see someone fumble or miss a pass or something, it feels like he does a good job of putting them in a situation where they can right that wrong. That is, in terms of psychology, a good way to kind of combat any sort of negative. There just needs to be another word, because momentum's it's kind of like the word analytics that now means nothing because everyone says it all the time. It actually has its own voice according to TV. The analytics say it doesn't have a voice. It's not sentient. It's a structure, right? So it's one of those things.
It actually does have a voice in Brandon Staley's headset. It just says, "Go for it." Go for it. Don't
Brandon
punt.
Staley's headset must have got maybe it feels like in many games, maybe not this past game, but in many games, it's been his is like a degenerate gambler that's like, don't worry about it. We're going to double down, and on the next one, we'll win all our money back.
It's going to come up black, red. All right, now put 1,000 on black, red. All right, let me put 2,000 on black,
Exactly.
red. All right, now I'm going to put 4,000 on. I'm going to keep double up catch up. It's got to. Does it turn black before I run out of money? I don't know. Let's just keep going for it. Let's see what happens. Come on.
Exactly.
Pedal to the metal. Let's roll here. Brandon Staley has the angel being conservative and the devil being go for it. He's got two of them. They're not even fighting each other. They're just in stereo in his ear. Go for it. Come on. You aren't strong enough to go. You're less of a man. You aren't man enough to go for this, Brandon, huh? Go for it. You don't have enough stones to go for this, do you, Brandon? Oh, I'll show you. We're going to go for it here. What happened in that play? It's just analytics said go for it.
Yep, analytics said. That old pesky analytics gets you again.
Yeah, well, analytics say go for it when it doesn't work out. When it does, it's what a good call. I mean, that was well done. That's being aggressive, and that's how you go and win games. It just depends. It's the results-oriented reaction and opinion for that. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. The Miami Dolphins specifically and how the Chiefs played them, this seems like a season, and Travis Kelce talked about counter to what teams are doing against the Chiefs. So he talked about first and second down, the Dolphins were playing, deep. They weren't allowing anything to go over the top. They were keeping everything in front. And he said, we've got to run the football. When that's the case, we've got to run the football, get him out of that. And he said, first half, Pacheco, the offensive line, they were doing their thing. 10 carries for Pacheco in the first half, 41 yards there. So they were doing their thing and keeping the ball and running and trying to get them out of that particular defensive alignment. It feels like the Miami Dolphins, with their explosiveness on offense, that when teams like the Chiefs are saying, you are not going to beat us deep, we are not going to allow you to take the top off of this particular defense, and yet they still are able to stop the run. Miami seems like a perfect team that would be able, and it all starts with the run, really, with them. They feel like a perfect team to be able to run it, to get teams out of that too deep, to then hit them over the top. Yet the three best teams they've played this year, they haven't been able to run the football and get some of those big plays going. Is that a concern for Miami moving forward, that in a season where teams are saying, we're not letting you beat us over the top, we're playing deep, and if you're going to run the ball, you're going to run the ball, and against the Chiefs, they couldn't do it?
It is a concern. I think the bigger concern for Miami is actually their defense. I know that sounds strange because in this game we saw the Chiefs' defense look so dominant. But I think what you also saw was, especially early, they didn't have, Vic Fangio's defenses usually have better early down decision-making, right? Like the scripted plays tend to favor, in general, the offense, but it doesn't necessarily look that quick and that bad. That's for lack of a better word. It doesn't necessarily go south so fast, especially when you have a guy like Jalen Ramsey back and you have Xavier Howard back. It's not like you're missing your deep stop guys. So, sure, the one thing that they did try to do, they executed well, which was to keep Travis Kelce from going off. But it felt to me like they didn't have enough answers when the Chiefs had a lot of different things going their way. And the Chiefs couldn't even really it's not like the run game was going gangbusters and they were just in these horrible third and short situations where you have to honor the run and the pass, right? It felt like the defense knew what was happening and they didn't have a great plan except for limiting Travis Kelce's impact.
Yeah, and they did a pretty decent job of that, of limiting his impact.
They did.
Now, Taylor Swift wasn't there, so I don't know how much.
But also I'd say, no. I'd also say kind of not, because it took so much to get Kelce neutralized. It's like they felt like that was the only thing, right? It was okay, we're going to put Jalen Ramsey on him, and then we're also going to get a help of a safety or maybe a linebacker, depending on what the pre-snap look is. But then that left Rashee Rice completely open, and it left a lot of different you're really going to give Patrick Mahomes that many options? Oh, okay, you want to do that? Fine. And you'd think Vic Fangio, with his experience playing the Chiefs so often, would not would honor more of the diversity of pass catcher. I don't know. I was a little surprised by that.
Did it? But did it work though? That particular strategy, because the Chiefs scored offensively only 14 points and they got shut out in the second half, and Kelsey really wasn't able to do his thing, and it looked like Mahomes was had time to throw at certain points. And couldn't find anybody. And then they were running those twists and those games on the defensive front, which for some reason has bothered the Chiefs' offensive line. They're going to have to get better at that because the Eagles are certainly going to take advantage of that. But it sort of felt like, the Chiefs' defense went out there and won them the game against the Dolphins, because the Chiefs' defense lost to Miami 14-7. But because they put 7 on the board themselves, both offenses scored 14. Did that strategy sort of work against the Chiefs? And is that a concern for the Chiefs, that it's like, we're going to focus so much on Kelsey, and when we take him away, we know that your offense is not going to be able to drive, 8, 9, 10 plays to score on a consistent basis?
I think the bye is coming at the exact right time for that. I mean, look, I'm going to give Fangio credit for adjusting. The in-game adjustments were really good. However, I will also say that the thing that the Chiefs have now is, I believe after this bye, you're going to see a stronger run game. You're going to see, Gordy agreed, you're going to see the fact that the run looks are not going to be something that we've seen before, meaning the defenses won't know exactly where Pacheco's going to go or what's going to happen here, right? I think this is a good time for the bye for that in that regard, so that if on the off chance that Kelsey does get sort of shut down or at least very limited, then you do have now, McCole Hardman being back there, we saw a lot of really interesting, fun, new twists and wrinkles, and I think we'll see even more. But I also think that the run game is going to improve.
Visiting with Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. Josh and I were talking in the previous couple of segments about the Chiefs wide receivers and looking at, some of the advanced stats, the DVOA, the DYAR, the yards above average, the total value, and of course the value per play, and seeing where just the wide receivers rank compared to the rest of the league. And the Chiefs' top 5 wide receivers have all had at least 24 receptions. So, I put the limit at least 24 receptions, and there's 91 players this year that come into that category. And Rashee Rice is the best of the Chiefs' receivers across the board, and pretty good, ranked in the league as well. 22nd in, total value over the season, 15th in value per play. He's first in YAC, and his depth of target isn't down the field. He's receiving some catches, which allows his yards after catch to go and take place and pick some of those up, and that's been what he's really good at. What I want to know, Cynthia, is in your mind, I compare it to a baseball player that is a utility guy. It's like, well, he played 3 times this week, and this guy's batting like 350. Why don't you play him more? Okay, well, you play him more, and now he's batting 220 because his role was perfect, and you are maximizing the value in that guy's role. He's overexposed now when you put him into more, different situations. Rashee Rice, that value compared to the rest of the league, top 20 in all these different categories with some of these other stud wide receivers, is that value showing up because of the usage, because they're using him sparingly from time to time, or utilizing specifically his strengths through the first 9 games of his career? Or is that an indication that the usage needs to be increased, and that's the level the Chiefs can get to offensively, is when Rashee Rice starts to get the targets and the numbers compared to the players he's showing up with in terms of value around the league?
I'm going to give you the unsatisfying answer, like I always do, of both, because it's a little bit of both, right? Like, it's a promising indicator for future value, but it also shows that they're rolling him out in a way that's tailored to his strengths. That's how good coaches do it, right? You don't want to ask him to do something that's above his pay grade before he's ready for it. Give him the opportunity to understand how defenses use false leverages, meaning they show you zone and it's really man, or they're really showing you a different look pre-snap as to post-snap. So when you're looking at those different opportunities, you want him to be able to learn and feel confident. There we go with the amygdala again, right? Like, you want to learn and understand what you're seeing. So in 9 games, what you've seen is a really promising opportunity for a young man who has exceeded expectations from the opportunities he's been given. So while, he's not going to bat 350 all the time, it's not going to go down to 220, right? Like, let's go with 300 and being used more often. That's a really nice opportunity to succeed, right? Yeah. So, roll it out in a way that's catered to their strengths, but also respects the fact that, it's not like in college he saw the types of defenses that the Eagles are going to roll out for him, right? Like, that's not I watched some college defense. I live in Southern California. I don't know if USC actually plays defense. Like, I'm not sure that's actually a thing.
Lane Kiffin views defense as just a time to pass before I get the offense back out there.
I'm just telling you, like, I don't know what must it look like at practice with Caleb Williams going against that defense. Like, can I see that footage, please? Like, that would be amazing. So, long story short, it's, remember, colleges are playing less and less advanced concepts in defense, and you're seeing these players, like, being able to get crazy yards, like Quentin Johnston can't catch a pass as a pro. We thought he had drops at TCU, but it seems like he doesn't know which routes he's running. He looks a little confused. He doesn't find the separation that he could. And he even has Keenan Allen helping him out. So let's just give Rashee Rice some credit here, because he and Jordan Addison are the guys who have the most touchdowns, receiving touchdowns so far this season as rookies, and they're both really stepping up in big situations. And to be compared to a guy like Jordan Addison, who was drafted significantly with more expectations, like that is like, again, the answer is an unsatisfying both.
Yeah, no, but it makes perfect sense, and that, I love the answer there of it's a promising indicator of future value. Doesn't mean it's a guaranteed indicator of future value. It's just, this is a promising look. It's better to be that than ranked 82nd out of 91, and it's like, well, let's see. No wonder they're not throwing him the football. But it's like, okay, so if this is happening, then there are some elements where you say, let's see what happens when we give him more, when we have more of the offense, or as he continues to develop and gets more comfortable and sees the defense and, a couple of big plays that he's made, a touchdown a couple of weeks ago, and then that third down reception against Miami, the diving catch. He talked about sort of adjusting his route on the fly and trusting that Mahomes would throw him the football. And both times Mahomes threw him the football, and he caught the touchdown, and then he made a huge diving catch to pick up the first down on a drive that ended up being a 95-yard touchdown drive. If he drops that, it's a punt. The Chiefs go 3 and out, and we never know that the, next 6 plays are all going to be first and second downs where they just get in a rhythm, and they don't face a third down again until the 17-yard touchdown to Jerick McKinnon. Like, that one play is sort of like that butterfly effect, because if he doesn't catch it, we have no idea that they were about to go on one of the best drives of the season, 95 yards against Miami, up 7-0 on that day. But he came through and made a catch. And Cynthia, this is where the amygdala may come in from Patrick Mahomes, but, the trust to Rashee Rice. I threw it to him in a big moment when we were backed up against our own end zone on 3rd down and 5, and I threw it into the spot to where only he can catch it, but he had to actually make a play to catch it, and he did. All right, that's in the back of my mind next time I might be in that situation.
I think Patrick Mahomes, of all, like, if we were to track his, like, fight or flight response, I don't think he has, like, flight. I think he's all fight, right? Like, I think he's all like, okay, let's go. Like, I don't think he gets amygdala hijacked. Like, he must have some sort of control over his brain that's different from the rest of us. Because I swear to God, I think, what did they say? Like, remember that heart rate thing people said, that, like, his heart rate wasn't even, like, elevated? Like, this guy's just built different. I wish I had that. I actually think my dog's kind of like that. Like a cat will hiss at him, or a dog will put his mouth on Gordy's neck, and Gordy's like, "What's up, bro?" Like, he doesn't care. Like, it's amazing.
Bring it, dude. Come on. The whole Mahomes' heart rate while the play was going on was lower than his heart rate when he was on the sideline watching the games, watching the game happen. That's not supposed to be what's happening.
Like, the thing is like, that feels like, that checks out. Like, you could say that for other people, like, oh, the hyperbole, it could be annoying. But with Patrick Mahomes, they're like, no, it checks out. Like, totally normal.
Absolutely. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. There's been so much talk about the Chiefs offense this year. You and I have talked about the Chiefs offense a lot, because that's where, we've typically viewed this team through the lens of how good they are offensively, and Patrick Mahomes is a stud, and it's to where they can become just this juggernaut of a team if the offense picks it up, because how good the defense is. But as you said, the defense looked insane against the Dolphins. They won the Super Bowl last year, and they were much better offensively last year than they are this year. Is there a better team element for the Chiefs this year with the defensive improvement, given the offensive regression? Are they still a better team when you combine those things compared to maybe what they were a year ago, with more of a heavy on the offensive side as the defense was slowly developing throughout the year?
Well, you have to remember, it's always in the context of the year. And this season, we've actually seen defensive metrics be more indicative of success and wins than they have been in the 3 seasons prior. If you're looking at teams and correlating things like, third down efficiency, red area efficiency, both on offense or preventing it on defense, you see that the defensive metrics are more causal to wins, which just means that defensive play is more related to wins in this season than we've seen in 3 seasons prior. That's why you see scoring's down. If you're a fantasy player, you're like, what the heck? My numbers are 100 points a week. Last year, they were 200. But you're seeing that because you're seeing defenses adjust. The pendulum always swings, right? It swings from the offense having the advantage, then it swings back to the defense having the advantage. So this season, while I'm not going to say it's, we want to see a little bit of an uptick, and who doesn't want to see Patrick Mahomes score 35 points per game? We all would love to do. I think the scheduling gods would love that too, right? Everybody loves points. But on some level, the complementary aspect of football, where how good your defense is with your offense combined, is actually more relevant in this season as it relates to wins and, of course, getting that number 1 and only bye in the AFC, et cetera. So while I'm not going to say, okay, great, it's fine with, in the 20s. No, we want more points, but it's not as punishing in this season. Had it been last season, it would be much, much more of an impactful metric. But this year, because the defense is better, that's actually helping to drive the overall trends that we're seeing across the league.
It's so great because the follow-up to that I was going to ask you is this a year to where it may be more beneficial to have such a good defense than the better side of the ball than in years past when it was, your defense is awesome, but you got to score points out there. So I love that you answered. My thought was this would be that year to have that, but I love that, you're backing it up.
The math is bearing that out.
Yeah.
The math is bearing it out.
So should that take a little of the consternation away and frustration from Chiefs fans that the offense has struggled, but the defense is so good that in a year, I said on Monday that we need to adjust our scope, our lens for the Chiefs, that this is who they are. They are a really, really, really good defense with a great quarterback and an offense that, can do enough, but they're not going to beat teams, 35-21. They're more likely to beat teams 21-14, 24-17, 20-10, something like that. That we just need to adjust our scope, adjust our lens and how we're viewing this team, and not through the prism of the amazing offensive performances of Patrick Mahomes of the past. Is that sort of, as we, move forward, should that let fans sort of ease their frustrations or concerns with the offense this year because of what we're seeing across the league?
The funny part is that it all comes back to our brain chemicals again, right?
Yes.
We are so trained to watch the greatest quarterback of our time beat up on teams by double digits, by at least multiple scores, that it probably doesn't feel great. I mean, my mom is about as big a Patrick Mahomes fan as there is. She literally calls him her grandson, which comes very strange things to me because what does that say about me or my sister, right? But how old do you think we are? But she her blood pressure is not okay until the Chiefs, either the final whistle has blown and the Chiefs have won, or she feels like it's 21-point lead and it's going to be okay, right? But the truth is winning games in the NFL comes down to being able to be better than the trends that are actually going on in the league. So while your blood pressure, your brain chemicals, your amygdala may feel a little different, it actually is okay as long as at the end of the game the Chiefs are winning. It's not going to be as splashy as we've seen in the past, though.
Yeah, I mean, does she know that Mahomes is 27 years old?
I understand. I'm like, Mom, are you saying that me and my sister are teens? What kind of teens did you think we were? Because we were pretty teens there in Michigan.
I'm old enough to be Mahomes' mother. No, you're not. Well, I mean, my mom thinks that.
I am not old enough to be Patrick Mahomes' mother. Let's just be clear. I would have had to be a really strange teenager for that to happen, a very strange early middle schooler.
Yeah, so maybe mom adjusts her scope and sights of Mahomes is, Mahomes is her is her third child that maybe was unexpected, maybe was the surprise kid, that out of nowhere.
I know. I was like, Mom, and no, but she legitimately, she met him. We were at the Super Bowl in Atlanta, and unfortunately, that was the the call with the Patriots where the Patriots won in a ridiculous fashion over the Chiefs, who had the number 1 seed. I'm not bitter about that at all. But long story short, my mom met him there. She met Brittany there. She fell absolutely head over heels in love with both of them. She thinks they're just the cutest people on the planet. And then somehow that has transmuted into her believing that he is her grandson.
That's amazing. That is awesome. I love the Freeland family. I mean, it's just so phenomenal. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. Cynthia, enjoy the football. I always enjoy the conversation, and we will talk next week as we lead into what will be a fun matchup with the Eagles on Monday Night Football.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm going to try to get to that game. I don't know how, but that's to me, that's the game of the year. That's going to be a good one.
You need to get to the game. We'll have you in studio and hang out, and then we'll have some food, have some barbecue, and figure some things out if you can make it next week.
I really wish I could. That whole having fantasy on Monday really messes up my schedule.
It does. It's rough. It's rough. We'll see what happens. We'll see what. Hopefully, you were able to make it here for that awesome Monday Night Football game.
Thank you. Have a great week. Enjoy the football.
Yes, you too. There's Cynthia Freeland. Great stuff from her NFL Network analytics expert. That's great. And apparently her sister, the mother to Patrick Mahomes. So there you go. But Patrick Mahomes, her grandson.
You said you love the Freeland family. I mean, you might be like a son to her. Who's to say?
That is not true because being 43, I would be the son to her mom.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Okay,
You might be like a son to
But you're saying
Mrs.
a
Freeland.
son to Cynthia, and that.
Look, dude,
that wouldn't work at all. That's
clearly-
the inverse.
Clearly,
no.
none of this quite works.
That's the
and
chicken or the egg or the chicken. I don't know.
Cynthia's mom does not care as long as that coop is full and as long as Patrick Mahomes is here. Chicken, egg, who cares? I would love for Cynthia to make it in town for the game, but if her mom just wants to come, she sounds like a hoop.
We need to get Cynthia's mom and Donna Kelsey together, and then everything will be great. We will take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll get together with Ryan Tracy. He'll join us next here talking some Chiefs football. More Zone right after this.
It's very, very easy for me to tell you about the good things and the great experience that I had at Ruback Fine Jewelry because I wear the evidence of it every day. My wedding ring is from Ruback Fine Jewelry. Renee's engagement ring, and now wedding ring, I guess, from Ruback Fine Jewelry. I haven't gone anywhere else. I wouldn't go anywhere else. And I was a little stressed about the beginning of that whole process, figuring out how we'd be able to get something that was both special to us and not so extravagant that I would get blinded by all of the directions behind it all. And ultimately, going to Ruback Fine Jewelry allowed us to build custom pieces that are absolutely beautiful and that aren't the Google online nice engagement ring and see what comes up. First of all, it's kind of generic. And second of all, you have no idea what the quality is going to be. I knew every step along the way because of Hal at Ruback Fine Jewelry. He was bringing me along for every step of the process. It really was us exchanging ideas, both for Renee's ring and for mine. And I'm absolutely thrilled with both of them. If you want to see how other people have talked about Ruback, check out their reviews online, 5 stars across the board. And you can see pictures of my ring and Renee's ring. And I need to tweet one of those out sometime too and show everybody what we got from Ruback. You'll see it and you will understand how good it is in terms of the final product and the quality, but the process was also truly special. And Ruback Fine Jewelry has moved locations after 32 years. They're now open at their brand new location in downtown Overland Park. They opened on November 1st. It's been months in the making. Absolutely beautiful. And you can make an appointment now to begin shopping early for holidays, birthdays, engagement season, or just make an appointment to get your ring cleaned and see their new space and say hello. The new location is at 7317 West 79th Street in downtown Overland Park, and you can check them out online at ruback.co. That's ruback.co. I've had people message me and say, hey, I'm going to Ruback. Anything I should know? I've had people message me and say, hey, I went to Ruback. Look at the ring. And every time it's been an awesome experience. I'm genuinely happy to answer questions or tell you more about Hal and how that process went because it was really a joy to do all of that with Ruback. That's Ruback Fine Jewelry, their new location in downtown Overland Park. Check them out online at ruback.co. And when you get there, tell them Briscoe sent you.
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Thank you to Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert, joining us, breaking down the Chiefs and what they did against the Dolphins and some other parts of the NFL. Right now, let's bring in Ryan Tracy to the show from the Athletic Matrix, Locked On Chiefs podcast, RGR Football, and many, many different places where you can read and hear Ryan Tracy's thoughts on the Chiefs and the NFL, joining us here in the zone. Ryan, welcome into the show. How are you, sir?
I'm keeping up. Hope you're doing well.
I am. I'm doing well. You know, there's been a lot of surprises this year, but you know, I was just watching the little clip that the franchise with the Chiefs put out, and it was the mic'd up with Brian Cook's touchdown and Blaine Gabbert on the sideline saying that man's knees were in the second deck, which is a great way to describe the high knees Brian Cook had down the sideline. There are a lot of things that have surprised me this year for the Chiefs. Seeing Brian Cook maybe be an anchor leg of a 4x100 and hit over 21 miles an hour might be one of the more surprising things to have that speed. That play was one of the best of the season, and to watch Brian Cook just take the baton / football and outrun everyone else like he was Usain Bolt was just phenomenal.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch. And if you had asked me preseason about what the strengths that I could see Brian Cook displaying this season, that was not going to be on my list.
No.
I'm a big proponent of Cook and what he does, but that was not going to be part of it.
No, I mean, just outrunning everybody and reaching over 21 miles an hour. But that Blaine Gabbert line, that dude's knees were in the second deck. It's just a great way to describe his high knees and his sprinting form, which is really what he got into. He got the football down the side, and then it looked like he went into, okay, now I'm just going into sprinting technique and form and just outrun these guys. That was awesome. What a great play and a fun day. Certainly a fun first half against the Dolphins down over in Germany. What'd you take away from that game, Ryan? They beat the Dolphins, and going into the game, certainly it's like, hey, beat the Dolphins by a point. Doesn't matter. Just win that game because it does so much for the Chiefs and the number 1 seed and tiebreaker, et cetera. But what'd you learn? What'd you take away from the Chiefs' 7-point win?
You know, of course, a W is W, and that is the bottom line. But I think the bigger lesson for me in all of our machinations about the roster and who's doing what and what's going what, this was a big conversation last week about philosophy going into a travel plan of this nature and this length, and having your team ready to play on foreign soil after, you know, a very long airline ride, that kind of thing. Bottom line for me, the takeaway is that we should trust Andy Reid a little bit more. The guy's got some experience and knows what he's doing. When we were all doubting him, he got his team off the ground, ready to hit it, and certainly looked as explosive as they have at all this season in that first half.
Yeah, it's funny because the week, you know, last week talking about all of those things, and I'm like, you know, I feel like even though they're going on Thursday, I feel like they put a lot of research and stuff into this. Like, it's not just sort of a fly by the seat of their pants that Andy Reid doesn't have all of the T's crossed and I's dotted, that they'll be fine. And they were fine. And they come out with that 21-0 lead at halftime. Let's look at the bye week right now, Ryan, and maybe go back to what you felt about this team or what your assumptions were of what this team would look like. And then now, you know, more than halfway through the season, 9 games played. They've got 8 remaining. Where they are right now, is there an element that you're sort of the most surprised or the biggest fluctuation of what the assumption of what this team would look like before the season?
Yeah, it's the how they got to this point, to be quite honest, because I had them in my preseason prediction sitting right at this spot at 7-2. But I didn't think they were going to get here this way. I thought we'd be talking about, look how much more dynamic Patrick Mahomes has been in distributing the ball to 7 wide receivers and 3 tight ends. And is there no bounds to what he can do with the ball? And yes, there would be a young defense that was holding their own enough to win ball games. I did not think that the narrative would completely flip. And it is the defensive side of the ball, and Steve Spagnuolo's unit, that has really driven the success so far this year, while the offense is trying to figure itself out for all intents and purposes. And so it just kind of flipped the whole season on its head for me, which is a really positive for me personally, because I'm a guy that likes to, and you can ask Josh this, we've had debates for years about play defense run the ball, use a fullback, Josh, and then get your offense tuned up. So for me, it's kind of a fun year.
His head is exploding right now. It's weird. It's right in front of me. This is such an odd sight. Somebody, can we get a cleanup in here? Like Josh is done. He's gone. He's one of the guys from the TV show Upload on Amazon Prime. It's just anybody that watches the show knows what I'm talking about. That's what Josh looks like right now, and that's unfortunate for that. But you mentioned fullback, and he's done now. So. Depending on the rest of the show, Ryan, you can hang out till 2 with us. Ryan Tracy is our guest. That is interesting though, in sort of talking from that standpoint, because the defense has been so good, and one of the things that I would wonder as the season goes on, or if it's a big playoff game, and we're looking at the Chiefs playing in January the way they are right now, are you more comfortable with the Chiefs, trailing by 3, or let's just make it a touchdown, trailing by 4 with a minute and a half to go and Mahomes on the field, or leading by 4 with a minute and a half to go and the opposing offense on the field? What are you choosing right now, Ryan?
I am oddly comfortable with both, but I will say this: I am more comfortable with the defense being on the field down the stretch, whether it's 4 minutes or 2 minutes or whatever it happens to be, than I have been in years past.
Yeah.
Because we have been in kind of this boat race mentality where, okay, we've even had the conversations within the last couple of years of, in certain situations, do you just let them score?
Yeah.
Patrick can get the ball back and move the offense and do his thing. I'm oddly comfortable now with the defense being able to hold up. But at the same time, I do believe that the 2-minute offense for this team is still as potent as it ever has been. It seems to be the minutia of breaking down the longer drives and keeping things moving when the defense puts a lid over the deep passes, and just being able to be methodical and disciplined down in, down out. But when the adrenaline spikes and it's 90 seconds to score, I still feel like this team has all the firepower it needs.
Yeah, I would still choose the offense and Patrick Mahomes on the field because he's Patrick Mahomes. But you're right. This is the most comfortable I think I would ever have been with the Chiefs, and I would be comfortable if the situation were reversed and the Chiefs were down 3 with like a minute 40 to go and they scored a touchdown, and now there's a minute and a half to go, they're up 4 and the defense is out on the field, and you're like, okay, I wouldn't be as worried in years past where it's like, well, this team is going to score and take the time, and then they're going to score late and they're going to win by 3 and the game's going to be over, etc. Sort of like that Bills-Chiefs game in the divisional round was just so back and forth, like who has the ball last? Well, we didn't think 13 seconds was technically last. But it was. But I would be way more comfortable with this Chiefs defense on the field than I certainly was in years past. And that's a credit to certainly the players and the development. It's also a credit to the continuity, the moves that they made that were under the radar of a Mike Edwards and a Drew Tranquill. And also, like, I think this is Spagnuolo calling a defense the way that he's got his pieces that he wants. He's got guys he trusts are going to be in the position they're supposed to be. They do their job at a high level, and I can just simply call a game the way that I want to call a game, and this is what it looks like. I think this is a lot coming together in that perfect storm, and what Spags looks like as a DC when he's got the pieces he wants.
This is the culmination of the Free Steve movement. I just let him do whatever he wants to do. I love the fact that he's added in what maybe he wasn't comfortable with in years past in blitzing, not just from the DB level, but sending linebackers, guys that can make impacts against linemen, and maybe power through some of the spots where in years past DBs had to run around things. And so I think it's opened up his blitz package, which has to make him happy. And I think having his guys, you put that perfectly, many of you being one of them, a classic body type for Spags system, but also guys that can turn and run, but have the physicality of Watson, of Joshua Williams, certainly of Brian Cook. I think Mike Edwards might be a little bit atypical, but his nose for the ball, I think, accentuates what Spags is looking for. And I think we still have room to grow here because I don't think Leo Chenal's been unlocked yet. He's making a little bit of progress, but until they really need to force him in there, I think there's still upside. And I think we all have to remember that I don't think I've seen Steve Spagnuolo more giddy than when Shamari Connor got selected onto this roster, and they haven't unlocked him yet either. So there's still real upside in this defense.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I thought this was the last year for Willie Gay in a Chiefs uniform, but the way he's playing, I mean, it's a contract year, so good for him. But I'm not sure I want to watch the Chiefs in the next few years if Willie Gay isn't doing some of the thing. Like Willie Gay has finally combined the between the ears with the body in reading, reacting, and letting his athleticism take over. And we're seeing what the Chiefs imagined when they took him in the second round of this guy needs reps. He needs reps, but he's got some unteachable traits. And once the reps get there and he figures some things out, he can be a force because he's been magnificent this year.
You're absolutely right. And it's nice to see. The athleticism is obviously off the charts, top of his class in the draft. Just been kind of waiting for that to come to fruition. But by being able to guide that missile to the correct spot, I think unfortunately, given this last week's performance, Clark might be tempted to relocate the Chiefs franchise to Frankfurt because clearly that's where Willie plays his best ball.
Yeah, he was so good. Being able to guide the missile to the right spot. I'm writing that down. I love that as far as Willie Gay. Last one for you, Ryan, and we'll let you go. Where do you view the final 8 games, the area where you think the Chiefs can improve the most, that they've got sort of the players and the personnel, not just like, well, you get a number one receiver. Well, okay, what's the personnel? Where do you think they can improve with the personnel they have the rest of the season that can take them to another level?
I think they have to figure out who their go-tos are. It doesn't necessarily have to be a number one wideout in my mind, because we've seen this team function with Travis Kelce with a number of number twos. But it can't be this continual rotation of 6 guys trying to figure out, are you number 2 and 3? Who are the guys that I can put on the field and I know we can get stuff done if they take away Travis? Or they send the house and he has to unload the ball quicker than he wants to. We have to make sure that there are 3 receivers that need to be on the field rather than 6. I think that's part of it. And I think the other thing that really stands out to me, and now that Josh's head is already exploded, we can't hurt him anymore. Yeah. They have to maintain this volume of run. Isaiah Pacheco, and
he put a head back on, just his headless horseman now.
Just for a redo.
Yes, that's right.
Like that. Okay, we got to get those visuals. You got to double down on that. This team is better when they run Isaiah Pacheco 14 times or more. It's just proven in the stats. So as long as they don't get too cute and go away from that and just maintain a minimum level of balance, I think that's going to be the key for the rest of the season.
We'll see what happens. Ryan Tracy, Athletic Matrix, Locked On Chiefs podcast, RGR football podcast, and Breaker of Heads of Josh Briscoe. Thank you, Ryan. As always, appreciate it, brother. Enjoy the football. We'll catch up soon, man.
Appreciate your time. Check
Absolutely. There's Ryan Tracy. Great stuff from him, and a lot of great stuff. If you don't follow him on Twitter, then what are you doing? Because many different outlets where you can read and listen to some of his work and the podcast there, and his love of running the football, which makes Josh feel really good about life and about ball. So,
I mean, he's right about all the stuff he said this time. I think I'm with the full. Maybe not the fullback part, but maybe not the fullback part. He and I have had long conversations about the value of fullbacks. But he's right about the Chiefs need to run the football more. It's okay. I've been here. Yeah, I've been here. It's all right.
Okay, that's fine. You're watching too. You're seeing the same team.
Ryan knows a lot about football.
You know ball.
I tend to accept that. I try to be a ball knower. I know Ryan's a ball knower. Don't need a fullback.
Okay.
Or maybe they do.
Whatever that means. All right, fun hour with Cynthia Freeland and Ryan Tracy. Talking some Chiefs, talking some NFL, bigger picture things. We'll continue those conversations coming up in the next hour. Mick Schaefer will join us at 1 o'clock. KSHB 41 Sports Director. I want to get his Learn Funniest Best from Germany. We should reach out, let him know that we're going to do that. Or do we just, on the fly, just like, what'd you learn in Germany? What was the funniest thing in Germany? What was the best of Germany?
I think to make it feel like a Monday, we should just let Mick know the segment before that he needs a Learn Funniest and Best, because that's just how he usually does it, to the best of my knowledge.
Like, oh, wait, shoot. I meant to write something down. Oh, no, what did I have? There was a funniest, what was it? That's typically the break between the first segment and the Learn Funniest Best segment with Mick. Maybe we'll do that, but we'll continue rolling here. 913-912-4810. We'll get to some texts as well on the other side. More Zone next.
The Zone is presented by Guaranteed Foods, delivering all natural food to Midwestern families since 1958. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
Thank you to Josh Briscoe letting me know that Big Biscuit dropped some stuff off this morning with the Border Patrol, and there was still some stuff left. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Also to Ryan Tracy and Cynthia Freeland for joining us in the previous hour, but mainly to you for letting me know that in the break. So
I like to try to give an assist when I can, and if I can give a brunch assist, I get brunch. Good morning, good afternoon. What that 12:01?
What time?
I finished eating mine at about 11:59, so I think brunch is still certainly valid there.
That was my brunch.
I think you could have brunch until maybe 2 even. Maybe the zone is actually, we say middays most of the time. Maybe we should start saying the zone is on for brunch hours.
Why don't we combine lunch and dinner? Why isn't there a
Linner.
a dunch or a linner?
I always went Linner. I don't, just big Jeremy Lin fan maybe. I don't know.
That makes sense. Yeah. Like at a 3 o'clock, if you're eating, like sort of combining those two, it's like,
But I think if you're eating at 3 o'clock, it's got to be, for it to be Linner, it has to have something that resembles both lunch and dessert, lunch and dinner, I think. Because brunch is breakfast food closer to lunchtime. If you eat a rotisserie chicken at 3 o'clock, I think it's Linner.
it's just
What's
dinner.
this if you're eating at 3 in the afternoon?
Sorry, that Drake, the meal that you have right before bed, for some of us is a little early.
That's right. Drake has breakfast at 4, lunch at 10 o'clock in the morning, dinner at 3, and then he has his afternoon nap at 11, and then he's out for the night at 5.
That's not that far off, right?
It really is.
Well, you can't take an afternoon nap right now.
Or
2
you
o'clock.
can. You could, Drake. I think you could sneak in 20 minutes right now if you really needed to.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna play some New Heights clips, maybe. So
I've already caught up on my sleep the first 2 hours.
there you go. We had guests. See, last hour we had guests. Just call it a day. Just go ahead and set that alarm for 11:58. And have somebody else come and press a couple of buttons in between Cynthia and Ryan Tracy.
I've been there.
Yeah, that's right. 913-912-4810 is the text line, 913-912-4810. Some interesting things from both Cynthia Freeland and Ryan Tracy. I liked when we talked about Rashee Rice a lot in the first hour, just about what the second half could mean for him, what he's looked like in some of these advanced analytics and his ranking across the league with players that have at least 24 targets this year and the DVOA, the DYAR, et cetera, and all those different numbers or letters with how good his numbers have been in value. And she said, quote, "It's a promising indicator of future value, but he's also being used to his strength," which is a credit to the coaching staff. The example I gave was in baseball when you see a guy who is a fourth outfielder or something. Mm-hmm. Paulo Orlando was a guy who was a reserve player, and then the season starts and he's in there, and you're like, why don't you play him? Duffy, we'll go this year. Matt Duffy.
I think more people
that's
following
true.
the Royals remember Paulo Orlando than Matt Duffy.
Because they could see the games back then. You can't watch the games
and they wanted to watch
the games
back then.
But Paulo Orlando was like, man, he's in there and he's getting hits and he's getting on base. When he's in there, why don't you play him more?
Yep.
And it's like he starts 3 or 4 games in a row, then it's like, oh, yeah, maybe there's a reason that he's the fourth outfielder. Nice player. Nice fourth outfielder. He's a freaking major leaguer. Fourth outfielder is pretty good. Pretty good for him. Pretty good for anybody. And, okay, there's you maximize his value and his tools by using him as the fourth outfielder and defensively and things like that. I am not saying Rashee Rice is Paulo Orlando, but is there an element of finding that the water finding its level of where he is ranking in the top 20 of all these advanced metrics with the other wide receivers in the NFL and yet getting 2 targets? Is he up there because he's used so sparingly and they're only throwing the ball at certain times? Or, as she said, a promising indicator of future value? You'd rather have those numbers than not, even in limited opportunities. But there may be an element of if he just becomes a number one guy and you're throwing the ball all the time, well, that value per play is probably going to drop pretty significantly because that catch rate is also not going to be at 80% if you're throwing them the ball every single time, right? So where do you take the example I gave was a 350 hitter as a reserve, and then he plays every day and he's 220. She said, well, can you just find the 300?
Yeah.
Where's the level that he's batting 300 and getting more opportunity to play? Can you find that? And I think that's on the coaching staff this week, the bye week or whatever, and the rest of the season, because that's Ryan Tracy talking about running the football. So that's an element of running the football a little bit more power runs, more design power runs to get to the next level, and also finding other ways to utilize Rashee Rice and even your guy, Kadarius Toney, in space from time to time, and utilize that skill set there, because the Chiefs don't have a true number one, but can Rashee Rice be a true number two in the truest sense of a number two receiver? I absolutely think he can.
And I think that the Paulo Orlando comp, for me at least, is probably more the Justin Watson story, where you can say, like a little bit tongue-in-cheek or a little bit seriously, hey, Justin Watson's the best wide receiver on this team. Well, Paulo Orlando's the best outfielder on this team. That, to me, has a lot. They have a lot more in common there, because for Watson, it is like 2 shots a game, and he usually brings in one of them. Sometimes he brings in both. Sometimes they don't connect. But you get a couple of those moments, and you go, well, wow, why doesn't Patrick Mahomes throw a 35-yard dot to Justin Watson every play? Like, until they make him stop it. And really, it is still in part a payoff of his role and the type of game that he plays. Now, he plays way more snaps than your proverbial fourth outfielder, which is another thing that makes this roster so weird. And something we touched on a little bit yesterday, I think, that I am very, very curious about, and that I think Rashee Rice is my hope for a guy who can do this. They built the whole plan out of slot receivers. Like, it's just everybody, which includes Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice and Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney, and then they trade for Mecole Hardman. Richie James is another guy that was going to play out of the slot. What you have on the outside is MVS and Justin Watson. And if MVS is doing deep threat plus stuff, that's fine. Or if you have MVS as an outside receiver, and if Rashee Rice just throwing something out there, oh man, Rashee Rice and Jamar Chase
Same person
are about 6 pounds different and the same height.
What? They don't.
I'm sorry, Kadarius Toney and hold on, I gotta get you the
Are
numbers
you
again.
Tony Gonzalez or Travis Kelce? Which one are you
Tony
talking
Gonzalez
about?
is currently dating Travis Kelce. What? Rashee Rice is 6'2", 203. He is 6'2", 203. Jamar Chase is 6 foot 201. Kadarius Toney is 6 foot 193. Kadarius Toney is built like Jamar Chase, and Rashee Rice is 2 inches taller. Now, Jamar Chase is the craziest outlier of all time because he plays much bigger than he is. Yeah. His athleticism is insane. But when you think about pigeonholing receivers in different role types, you go, well, Jamar Chase, I mean, he can do it all. What a physical freak.
And his trunk is incredibly thick. Like his legs and from the waist down, he is, he's a truck is what he is. He doesn't look like a wide receiver that's like 6 foot 200. He's a guy who's incredibly strong.
Thank you for talking so I could write down the timestamp for that. I really appreciate it.
It's 12:09, Drake.
That's the Kadarius Toney has the measurables physically of Jamar Chase, which is crazy because we think about Kadarius Toney being Tyreek Hill or Mecole Hardman or Dexter McCluster or whoever, and that's just not the actual physical comp. And again, Rashee Rice is 6'2", and his after the catch acceleration, you see that. Can his long speed not do some of the things that MVS's long speed does? I think it was Matt Lane who talked about those guys being slow burners on the outside. Mm-hmm. Rashee Rice has acceleration and some decent long speed. It's not his calling card, and I understand that. But I would love to see that usage get tweaked a little bit, because if you can take MVS or Justin Watson off the field and play Rashee Rice on the outside a little more with one of those guys, now you can have Travis Kelce and Kadarius Toney and Rashee Rice and MVS all running real routes instead of it being this little game of who gets these 7 snaps in the slot and who gets these 10.
One of the surprises that we've seen, at least from me, that I've seen throughout the season is when we talked before the year, the difference between what the expectations could be for Rashee Rice and Sky Moore a year ago. So Sky Moore is a rookie. He's a guy that's supposed to run routes, get open, gain separation, catch the football. That's going to be his skill set. So learning the offense and having a full understanding of all those little intricacies, it's going to be more difficult for Sky Moore to adapt to the offense rather than Rashee Rice, who is a guy that can just go and make a play. Go catch the ball, high point it, contested catch rate, one of the best in college football. He's got that instinctual knack to be able to come down with the football that you might see just some back shoulder throws or Mahomes saying, you know what, I'm going to give Rashee Rice a chance here to go make a play. And you don't have to have the little elements of a yard here, yard there, the finer details of the Andy Reid offense to be able to say, you know what, back shoulder throw, just go and make the catch. Like the play they had for Justin Ross when he was like, yeah, I knew the play was for me. It's what we practiced. Boom, throw it out there, makes a great catch. Things like that. You don't have to know all the intricacies of the different spots on the field where Sky Moore did. So I thought that would be where Rashee Rice would make more of an impact than Sky Moore did. Probably one of the more surprising things is, have we seen a back shoulder to Rashee Rice or just a jump ball that you throw it deep to where, like, I'd like to see Rashee Rice running the MVS route on that 3rd and whatever, 4, 5, 6, when it was the deep ball that ended up being tipped away, although it did look like it was pretty decent pass interference, that if MVS just simply falls, doesn't try to fight through and just falls, that's an obvious pass interference, but he fought through to try to catch it as well, even though his arm was being pulled down or whatever. Regardless, I'd like to see Rashee Rice there because I wonder if Rashee Rice fights a little more for the ball.
His average depth of target
up
this year is 5.1 yards.
Yeah, which is why his catch percentage is almost 80%.
Sure.
Even with the drops. But MVS is 6'4", and he's a guy on this team that when you're throwing it deep is not supposed to be a guy that's just throwing it deep and he's going to hit you in the hands, and if he throws it short, sorry, Pat, you should have thrown it out in front of me. You've got to come back and jump for the football there and make a play and not just sort of run down the field with the receiver and hope that the ball gets to you. I would like to have seen Rashee Rice, or like to see, if you can just go back and move Rashee Rice into that spot with the ball in the air. What does he do? Does he jump up and make the catch? If he jumps up, does it look like even more pass interference and it's an easy call or something like that? Come back through to the defensive back to go and get that. Those instincts of high pointing and contested catches that were there in college, we haven't seen those opportunities for Rashee Rice yet. Maybe that's on the horizon.
Yeah.
And learning different positions and learning the outside part along with the slot. Maybe those are the things. Or as long as Justin Watson, MVS, and Rashee Rice are going to be the 3 receivers on the field at the same time, Rashee Rice is going to be playing the slot. But I don't think there's anything wrong with giving him an opportunity through the slot for something like that, a one-on-one where Mahomes just goes, you know what? He's got one-on-one. Now I'm going to give him a chance because he's got the ability to go and bring it down. We haven't seen that yet with him.
And it's funny because, like, think about how the Chiefs have talked about their offensive line over the last, 5 years. Talking about getting your best 5 on the field, which is, I think, actually a really cool way of coaching. And with a unit like an offensive line, having guys that can play different spots, it's why Andrew Wiley exists. Like, his contract in Washington is there because the Chiefs were always kind of willing to do a little bit of figuring out who our best 5 are. That's why Nick Allegretti is going to keep making a nice living as long as he wants to play here. Positional versatility is important to them, not just so you have a Band-Aid you can put over an injured position, but because it makes it easier for you to have your best lineman on the field. At wide receiver, that is not the philosophy. It just has not been. And what I'm hopeful for, something you just sort of touched on there, the place where I get my optimism for the back half of the season for Rashee Rice and that role in particular, is maybe they said, all right, dude, here's where we're at. You are going to start playing more and sooner than any of us expected. You are not getting a redshirt year. I don't think that a redshirt year was never the plan, but you're not going to get Sky Moore's rookie season either. Right. You got to play, and I, Andy Reid, Matt Nagy, Connor Embry, whoever, I have got to do my job to make it to where you can be on the field and not put you in bad positions when you just got to the NFL. And so my hope is that he has passed enough of these tests through the first half of the season. Now he has a bye week where it's all right, Rashee, other side of the bye, you be ready for this because we are going to now ask you to do some of these other things that we haven't really asked you to do yet because we want to get our best 3 or our best 4 receivers out there with some more versatile skill sets. And because that's part of the game when you're talking about, and I would be curious to see what changed from last year here also. But we talked about like Justin Watson getting some of MVS's snaps last year and that sort of inversely correlating. And now this year it's people saying, why is MVS on the field so much? Why is Justin Watson on the field so much? Whatever. It is because of the positions they're being specifically asked to play, the roles they're being asked to play. But Rashee Rice is more talented than both of those guys. We know this. I don't think that's offensive. If he can start taking some of the snaps from the there because they gotta be there roles for MVS and Justin Watson, I think you see an opportunity for this offense to get more dynamic with one roster domino that falls. They're going to play plenty still, but I would love to see some of those 3 receiver sets with make it MVS and Rice and Tony with Travis Kelce playing tight end. Those are 4 pass catchers that I think Patrick Mahomes can actually lean on.
The last 5 games for Rashee Rice of the season, going back to what was the Vikings game, he's got 22 targets and 19 receptions. He's also got 3 touchdowns in those 5 games. When they're throwing him, we talked about like drop rate and is he in the right spot or whatever. I mean, 22 targets, 19 receptions. Some of those are right down the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
Some of those are here's a slant.
Yep.
But he also has a 39-yard catch. He has a 37-yard catch. He has a 28-yard catch. Those aren't air yards.
And have him run some more of those slants.
Yeah.
You have not hit that button the maximum number of times yet. We are not at a diminishing return yet.
And one of those, targets that did not result in a catch was one where he was running over the middle and the ball was there and he was already turning to run.
Yep.
And he dropped the ball. Would have been a big gain, and it would have been one of those, hey, throw another 35-yard catch in the mix for Rashee Rice. What other player on this Chiefs team is you're going to get him the ball in space and there's a chance for a 40-yard reception here? It's not Watson. It's not MVS. It's not Sky. It could be Tony.
It's him and Tony,
Yeah.
and I can't tell if the Chiefs have given up on Kadarius Toney or not,
Yeah.
so I'm not sure.
Yeah, it could be Tony. But Tony feels more like he's going to be shifty there, where Rashee Rice feels more of I'm catching the ball and I'm getting upfield and I'm finding the angles to get the most yards I can possibly get, and I'm not dancing here. I'm just going. I might give a stutter step to a linebacker to then get to the sideline and turn it up, which he did, and turn on the afterburners there down the sideline. But I'm not going to put the foot in the ground, show the leg, and then cut back the other way, and then cut back another way and spin move to try to make one guy miss. There's nothing wrong with that because Tony has the ability to make guys grab air. Rashee Rice feels more of the guy that's the opposite Demarcus Robinson. I'm going to get the ball, and I'm going to look down the field and straight line or angle, where can I get the most yards and split defenders and not try to juke everybody out of their shoes and I lose 2 or 3 yards. He's got the best chance of turning 4 into 20 because he turns and just says, where is the opening? I'm running to daylight.
And chunk plays are so valuable, and especially chunk plays that aren't super risky chunk plays. Where if you do hit him 4 yards downfield and he gets tripped up immediately, as long as he's not batting the ball into the air, okay, bad news. It's now 2nd and 6. Cool. Every offense will take that. But finding more opportunities for him to make plays with the ball in his hands just feels so obvious that I think we've sort of talked ourselves into a circle of like, it's so obvious that I think Andy Reid probably also sees that.
Nope.
So what is it that's not clicking there? And it's honestly, again, it's some of the stuff where, look, we've all watched Mike McCarthy be a head coach. No one is under the illusion that all head coaches know exactly what's going on.
Josh McDaniels head coach twice.
And the Colts wanted him also.
He's been hired 3 times.
He's really been hired thrice. Like we have seen that, and obviously I don't think Andy Reid is just totally misevaluating his weapons, but it makes me very, very curious if we could get the truth serum answer of, hey, what does Rashee need to do to like get the football from Mahomes more? His snap counts are going up, but his target counts aren't yet. I do think that ultimately changes after the bye.
Yeah, when he's had those targets, 4 targets, 72 yards, 6 targets, 5 receptions, 60 yards and a touchdown, 5 targets, 4 receptions, 56 yards, 7 targets, 5 receptions, 59 yards. Miami, 2 targets, 2 receptions, 17 yards, a touchdown. Like, give him more opportunities.
Yep.
Give him 6 targets, 5 yards, 60 or 5 receptions, 60 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, that's a 1,000-yard receiver.
Yep.
Over 17 games, 60 yards is going to be a 1,000-yard receiver. It's not as difficult as it used to be back in the past, and 1,000-yard receivers aren't necessarily viewed as the end-all, be-all anymore because there are so many more.
We're talking about a 2,000-yard receiver this year.
Yes, and passing is so much more part of the game. But still, to have a guy on your team that's like, yeah, that guy has 1,000 yards receiving.
And Mahomes knows that again too. He mentioned it post game, getting the ball. I can't remember if it was down or out, but it made me happy because it was pushing the ball to Rashee Rice in a more traditional wide receiver role, and that's something he just volunteered post game, which makes me feel a little better.
On the New Heights podcast with Jason and Travis Kelce, they talked about the game against the Dolphins and Travis Kelce weighing in on What did the Dolphins do to stunt the offense and also a little bit of the run game?
Well, I think teams with really good DBs means that they're going to find ways to kind of bracket coverage you. When you have smart DBs and guys that can play, can kind of read routes or kind of read concepts, and just have an idea, it's going to make it challenging when they run their zone coverages. So that's kind of what they were doing on first and second down, was playing their prevent, keep it all in front, don't get beat deep, and make you drive down the field. And with a team like that, you got to have the run game, and that's just, I think, why we were so successful in the first half, is because we were running the heck out of the ball, man.
Yeah, you guys are really getting after it.
Papa Checo, man, he was downhill, and kind of put it on our O-line to be a physical, dominant team, and they showed up, baby. They showed up.
You're not running as many plays in the second half because you weren't having extended drives.
Yep.
First half, Pacheco got 10 carries, 41 yards. Second half, he got 6 carries, 25 yards. If they had some extended drives, maybe he does get 11 or 12 carries in the second half, and you're like, wow, Pacheco got the ball 21 times. And what did he end up with? He had 100 yards rushing and 20 carries. Okay, that's a pretty decent day. Because even if you look at, they weren't running the ball, they were throwing the ball. Well, Mahomes threw the ball 19 times in the first half and 11 times in the second half.
Yep, and
Just
Mahomes
didn't run as
ran
many.
3 more times in the first half also, so they had 22 dropbacks there, if memory serves, and half as many in the second half. Actually, it's 14 total pass attempts plus Mahomes runs in the second half. We went to the exact same caveat. I had the first half, second half box scores up. I was going to be like, listen, now they didn't run as many plays in the second half,
funny.
but...
Yeah, because it wasn't like the frequency of runs to passes dropped off the table in the second half. And it's like, well, that's why the offense struggled in the second half. They stopped running the football. Well, I mean, the Dolphins adjusted. Chiefs had some negative plays. Some penalties happen. And, a play here or there, and you can extend a drive. Right. And now you're in a rhythm. Again, that third down play, 3rd and 5, then the diving catch to Rashee Rice. If he doesn't make that catch, it's a punt. And who knows what happens. It was a great point by you on Monday when I said that, that third down conversion, they end up going down the field and scoring. The next third down they faced was Jerick McKinnon. And then 40 seconds later, Tyreek Hill fumbles?
Yep.
I mean, if you punt there, who knows what, you're up 7-0 and you're punting from your own, 12-yard line or whatever to the Dolphins. You don't have the 95-yard drive, and you don't have the strip of Tyreek Hill and the fumble return for Brian Cook. Rashee Rice single-handedly won the game by that diving catch, is what I'm saying.
That's what I've been saying. It's 7-7 at halftime, probably, if he doesn't catch that.
Yeah.
And then, the Dolphins came out firing in the second half anyway. The Chiefs would have probably been exactly the same. And 21-7 loss in Germany is what happens if Rashee Rice drops that ball.
I feel like Brian Cook needs to give that football to Rashee Rice because he would not have had that touchdown if it not for Rashee Rice's diving catch on 3rd and 5.
They're already going to have to, I think, cut that ball into pieces so each of the guys can have a panel. Right. So Brian Cook gets a panel, Mike Edwards gets a panel, Trent McDuffie gets a panel, and then Rashee Rice gets the 4th one.
You know what's great? What you do is you take that that autograph ball, right? Mm-hmm. That has like the one white panel.
Yes.
Only you reverse it. You have 3 white panels, and then the leather panel is from that football.
That's perfect.
And each person gets that.
Someone should do that. That's genius.
And then so all of those guys get one of those panels there.
Or just pin, just pin the panel up on a wall somewhere, and just like, looks like just sort of a little oval of leather. What's that from exactly?
Well, son, sit down and let me tell you what Dad did back in 2023.
You remember Germany? You're not gonna believe this, but Germany didn't always have an NFL team, son.
What?
Yeah, I know.
They didn't always have a European division, son.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, we were one of the first teams in the history of the league to play in Germany.
97-year-old current active NFL commissioner Roger Goodell still being kept in power by 135-year-old Jerry Jones. I don't know if that math works out, but I'm kind of Cynthia Freeland's mom with this one. I'm just saying what feels right.
That's exactly right. And son, we would go to Europe and play. And yes, now as we're going to Russia and China and playing football, and that's we would go to Europe and play those games. Well, in Germany, I recovered a fumble from Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, the greatest wide receiver that ever lived. Yeah, the 3,000-yard wide receiver in 1 year. That's right. I recovered of the fumble was pitched to me, son, from Mike Edwards and stripped from Uncle Trent. Uncle Trent played football too?
We used to play games in Kansas City. Can you believe that?
Stupid.
Instead of playing all 28 regular season games internationally.
This actually used to be a United States league.
When I got drafted, we only played 17 games.
The games were international, not just all of the teams now.
Every single team.
It's weird. Roger Goodell did not speak 7 different languages back then.
It's amazing. He's like kind of a C-3PO commissioner.
That's right. Some people think he's a computer, AI now, and Goodell's actually been dead for 40 years.
But did they have a moon game?
No, son, that's next year. That'll be the first one. Remember, we talked about next year's the first moon game. Okay. How far does Mahomes throw the football?
On the moon.
On the moon.
Back to Earth, actually. It's amazing.
Just throws it. It burns up in the atmosphere. I was open. Well, I mean, that's amazing defense.
How much help does Mahomes need? He's got the entire atmosphere working against him.
They're running an ozone coverage. That layer is impenetrable for the football, son.
Jason, by the time Brian Cook has kids, there won't be an ozone layer anymore. Just dawned on me that maybe Brian Cook does have a child. I don't actually know that. It doesn't matter, though, because I'm here to tell you about Green Light Dispensary. Listen, you don't have to wait for the future. It feels like we're living in it, though, at Green Light Dispensary, because you can go online to greenlightdispensary.com, and you can order online. You can get your cannabis on your phone. I mean, you got to go pick it up from one of the incredibly convenient grab-and-go or drive-through windows at Green Light Dispensary. Adult use is 21 or over with a valid ID, including out-of-state IDs, and they can still help you get your Missouri medical card for perks available to medical patients if you're interested in that as well. They got the 4 KC area locations: Bannister Road and 435, Nolan Road and Independence, 135th and State Line, and Harrisonville. You can check out all the menus for all of those locations and get the hours, all the details, again, at greenlightdispensary.com. You can place your order there, and they'll send you text alerts when it's time to pick up your order. You can go ahead and put your time in that you want to pick it up. It's really, really, really convenient and an incredibly smooth process. They've really had it figured out from the jump, and it's never, ever even had a hiccup in my experience. Plus, you can sign up for Greenlight's text on their website at greenlightdispensary.com, which is going to make you the first to find out about great deals, events, contests, and anytime our hometown team in red gets the win, Greenlight gives out a penny pre-roll to everyone who's subscribed to the text, where you get the coupon code via their text thread the day after the win. Plus, every purchase you make at Greenlight racks up rewards points in your loyalty wallet to be redeemed for products in store. Again, another great deal that Greenlight provides, along with their great selection, great bud tenders, and everything being incredibly convenient. Plus, you mentioned 810 sent you. You can get 20% off your first visit to any KC area Greenlight location. 20% off from saying that 810 sent you to State Line, Independence, Bannister, Harrisonville. Visit them all out online. Check them out there. Get the hours, the addresses, all at greenlightdispensary.com.
Mick Schaefer will hang out with us in the 1 o'clock hour. He's back from Germany, you know.
What time is it here?
12:30.
Feels like 11:30.
Yep. Tex says, you guys joke, but can't have a moon game. The Earth is flat and the moon's just fake circle in the sky, like the Truman Show. Yeah.
And the Truman
Probably right.
Show really bleeped me up. I know a lot of people say like they saw Jaws too young.
Uh-huh.
I saw too much of the Truman Show too
Really?
young. Yeah. Yeah, but at least now it's not like
I
there's
liked it.
always like a camera just sort of, on us pretty much 24/7, at least for a good 4 hours during the day when every single one of our moves could theoretically be being documented.
Tex says 15 doesn't throw back shoulder. Does he? Not often. He really doesn't.
He really doesn't often.
I mean, it's not something that is typically part of his game, which is perfectly fine. Got a lot of other things that are part of his game. I just thought Rashee Rice would be able to offer that outlet from time to time to say, all right, I got one-on-one down the sideline. I'm going to give him a chance and give him a back shoulder throw,
We're not going to really find this out until they draft a big receiver. But I would love to just hear him actually explain, is that just not something he really feels super confident doing? So it's not a part of his game?
Because he never had somebody he feels that.
Or is it about the supporting cast? No, I think that's just what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Hasn't had somebody that feels like I'm going to throw it to him. Tyreek
Right.
isn't a back shoulder guy.
Right.
McCole isn't a back shoulder guy.
Travis Kelce's bigger than most receivers,
Yeah.
but that's not really what
Yeah.
his game has been. Certainly
Right.
not more recently.
So, yeah. Tex comes in and says he's had no wide receiver for that. There you go.
Yeah.
Said they used to say it takes 2 to 3 years to learn Andy's offense. I feel like people forget that. I mean, yeah, it certainly does, but sort of depends on, the player and adjusting to it and opportunity. Because Sky Moore, the excuse was, okay, he's got 30 targets that his rookie year, which, by the way, or he got 33 targets last year. Rashee Rice has 8 more targets already this year than Sky Moore did all of last year. Difference being, Sky Moore was playing the role down the depth chart, and Juju Smith-Schuster was on the team. Rashee Rice feels like, some of those numbers we mentioned that compare to Juju Smith-Schuster, that, Sky Moore hasn't filled that role, that maybe Rashee Rice is the one that's going to fill that Juju Smith-Schuster role. And so it may take 2 to 3 years. We made that excuse for Sky Moore. But I think that's sort of just a template where somebody can come in and go, no, I understand it. I'm getting this, and I'm understanding it quicker, and it's clicking. And maybe there's a different level of football intelligence that's out there, because learning Spags defense is difficult. Yeah. Well, Trent McDuffie isn't Snead, and isn't Watson, and isn't Williams, and isn't Karlaftis, and isn't Brian Cook. Trent McDuffie is viewed as, and was talked about being, one of the smartest football players in the entire draft, was a defensive Mensa member, and he knew what everybody's job on the field was at Washington because he wanted to understand the why of the scheme. Not everybody's going to be able to do that. There are gifts that people have physically, and there are gifts that people have mentally. And this is not to say that Sky Moore doesn't have it, just saying I don't want to put everybody in the same sort of group and say it's going to take this guy 2 years to learn Andy Reid's offense, when he may come in and go, no, this makes sense. I'm like Beethoven. I can just play. I see it. It understands. Here's my perfect pitch, and I'm good to go, and let me just go and play.
And even within all of that, it is also still coaching, because you got to figure out what you need and how urgently you need it. It might still take Rashee Rice 2 years to master Andy Reid's offense, right? But if you look around right now, and if you were going to say, no, Rashee Rice is not getting on the field because it's only been 8, 9, 10 weeks, and he's going to have a full season under his belt, maybe we'll see him in the playoffs, that would be ignorant coaching, because Rashee Rice can do some things well. And again, I think, like we talked about, that's why he has been used the way that he has, and we'd like to see that continue to be ramped up. Now I think that's the next step for, again, Andy Reid, Matt Nagy, Connor Embry, whoever you want to kind of put the umbrella over. But it's up next for them to make sure Rashee Rice can take a little more, and then a little more, and a little more all the way throughout the remainder of this season. Because if your offense ends up being so detailed and so dependent on what you're reading from the defense that only 6 or 7 year vets can do it. You better have those dudes on the team. Juju could do it. It didn't take 2 years for him to be comfortable in Andy Reid's scheme, but he had also been in the NFL at a high level, playing very good football for quite a while before that. So
MVS,
MVS
started
as well.
right away.
And I wonder, his role, I think, is they ask him to do less than they ask Juju to do, but that's going to be part of it. You got to use the ingredients you have, even if you're a little bit underwhelmed by how ripe they are.
Text says, and there's a couple texts from the same text I want to read. Text says, Kelsey TD against Buffalo in overtime was basically a back shoulder throw. It was.
There you go.
When he was on Milano, read it perfectly through the back shoulder. Kelsey made the catch. That's right. And then this one from earlier today said, Tylenol break, Jason and math gives me a headache. This is when we were talking about Rashee Rice and some of those numbers, advanced analytics. Speaking of Jason and math, what about Jason and Travis and math? They were wondering on the New Heights podcast, how many miles has Travis Kelce caught and received in yards for?
10,941 receiving yards. How many miles is that?
Yards? Damn, I only know feet.
How much is a mile?
How many yards are in a mile? God damn it, I used to know this.
How many feet are in a mile? I don't even know that. It's like 2,000 something?
No way. It's got to be more than that. 11,000 feet?
Okay, 1 mile is 5,280 feet.
Knew it.
Divide that by 3.
No, you got to multiply that by 3.
All right, let's figure this out. We got this. We're doing some analytics right now. 52. What
It's
was it again?
6.2 miles.
5280. I'm not cheating with Brandon. Get the fuck out of here, Brandon. So 1,760 feet.
What are
in a
you?
yard.
You're putting it in a calculator. Why is it so hard for you right now?
So it's 1,760 yards or in a mile. So if you take that, if you divide 10,941 divided by that number, you would have how many miles? So 6.21 miles.
Very good.
That might have been 6.22. 6.22 miles if we round up.
I'm out here just running.
And you thought listening to me do math was an issue. Come on.
I could at least follow what they were doing there, I was there for it.
I'll be honest with you. I loved listening to that.
It's hilarious. It's great.
Why are you dividing? Why are you multiplying that? How many? There's got to be at least, 11,000 feet in a mile? 11,000 feet? No, 5820.
Clearly, they haven't grabbed one of the new
5280.
5280. They haven't grabbed any of the new Denver Nuggets City Edition uniforms that just say 5280 on them for some reason.
Yes, I was going more Derek Thomas, Tony Pollard. Okay, come on, give me a break. Tex says, at least Jason's beautiful. He's sexy is what he is. Well, he was talking about me.
That's what I assumed.
I agree with that. Thank you. Thank you for that. That's very kind of you. Wow. Also, Kelsey was named one of the sexiest men alive.
What does that have to do with you again? Nothing, right?
I think it was just like all Jasons.
the Jason. We have People magazine. What we really need is Jason magazine. The sexiest Jasons alive. You still got some competition, actually.
Text says 6.2164773 miles for Travis.
Okay, so read that again.
6.2164773 miles for Trav, and that's where Jason was like 6.21. Well, 6.22 if you round up.
I don't think we should round up. It's important to be specific.
Yes.
I think we should call it 6.2 miles.
6.2164773. You want to be specific? That's specific.
That is absolutely specific.
Yes. So there you go.
It is funny to think about, 6 miles isn't really that long, but I guess it would be if I was being hit by 300-pound men the entire time I was trying to get over those 6 miles.
Receiving 6 miles worth of football receiving.
Unbelievable.
He passed he passed Tony Gonzalez.
Who? Idiot.
He passed Tony Gonzalez.
You can't even remember which one's Tony Gonzalez, which one's Travis Kelce?
The two greatest tight ends in the history of the sport.
That's embarrassing.
Both played for the Chiefs, and Travis Kelce passed Tony Gonzalez. Here he is weighing in on being the Chiefs' new receiving leader.
You passed Tony Gonzalez to become the Chiefs' all-time receiving yards leader. You finished with 14 yards receiving, and you beat the record by 1 yard.
Dude, that's a buns day right there.
It's a heck of a way to break the all-time receiving record.
That's so buns. I should have broke this record like 3 games ago. And I'm just sitting here just either way. It is an absolute fucking honor, man. Ever since I came here to Kansas City to, be mentored by the greatest tight end to ever do it in Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah.
To try and fill his shoes every single day and to, reach some of the milestones he's set, like a receiving yards game or receiving yards in the franchise history. It's just an honor to even, be here in KC, knowing that greatness has walked them halls and, I can be a part of that greatness, man.
Man, well, it's been electric watching it, and it's crazy, dude. You're a franchise's all-time receiving yards leader, an absolutely crazy stat.
Isn't that a crazy stat to even think about?
Yeah.
Like the
That's a lot of
franchise,
yards.
man. I'm an old dog right there.
I knew going into the game he needed 13 yards to tie Travis Kelce.
Tony Gonzalez.
Gosh darn it.
Anybody can make that mistake, Jason. It's really not a big deal.
No, I mean, only idiots do that.
Nah, anybody. Tons of smart, handsome, funny people make that mistake all the time.
I knew going into the game he needed 13 yards to tie Tony Gonzalez. I thought maybe that would be one catch worth.
Uh-huh.
Not 3 catches, 14 yards. Just a, what did he call the game?
Buns.
A buns game.
That was a buns performance.
That was a buns performance. Do you know what play he broke the record on?
Oh, I did at the time, but I can't
Okay.
remember now. Yeah.
Well, people wouldn't remember it because a play 2 plays later on that drive was the most talked about play non-defensively in the game.
It was before the 3rd and 1, like last one.
First and 10,
oh,
they threw the ball down the line of scrimmage, and Travis Kelce picked up 7 yards on the little run there, and then Pacheco picked up 2 yards, really 2.5 yards, because as we talked about, it was like 3.5 yard. He picked up 2.5 yards and was stopped just shy of the 20-yard line, and then Mahomes threw the incomplete pass out of bounds after that. But yeah, the play that he broke the record on was that 7-yard pass. It would have been cool if it was like broke the record to ice the game, right? At that point, like it's like you need one more first down, and the Dolphins are in out of timeouts at whatever time it would have been at that point. I know they weren't out of timeouts at that time, but point being, if they were, and you were icing the game and just need a first down here, and boom, you throw it to Kelce. There's the record and the win. But yeah, we forget about that play because it was more about the throw on 3rd down that was incomplete, or the not handing it off to Isaiah Pacheco.
Did you see the end zone view of that alignment?
I actually have not seen it yet. Is there somebody wide open?
In a manner of speaking. On the 3rd and 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, in a manner of speaking. Folks,
Oh my God!
when I say that Patrick Mahomes could have gotten on a golf cart
Fallen forward.
and have just driven forward until a dolphin touched him.
If you're worried about his knee on a quarterback sneak, you know what he could have done? He could have taken the snap, moved ahead 2 yards, and then taken a knee before he was touched on that alignment.
That's not an exaggeration.
Oh my gosh.
It's actually like even more painful. Nick Jacobs tweeted out the all-22 chunk of it. It's actually weirdly more painful even just watching the actual play, because if you just watch the hash mark for the entirety of the actual play, no Dolphin fully crosses it. And obviously, if he snuck, they would have come in. But like the defensive linemen, they are not crashing down to Creed Humphrey. I think there's
oh my gosh.
Like right here, the linebacker touches the hash mark, but it's not until Mahomes scrambles that anyone ever like crosses that line.
I mean, if they were just to hand it off, I mean, even if you sort of audible at the time and hand it off.
That's the thing. Is there anything there? Like I'm not saying Patrick Mahomes has to run the tush push, but I'm saying if he could literally just dive off of Creed's hip and just hit the ground and just give himself up right there or whatever, there's no injury risk for a guy who is. When was it that he threw a pass with a dude? I guess it was the target to Sky Moore that got picked off, right? Where he just had a guy wrapped around his ankle, and he wasn't like, just no, kill the play. No, my ankle's been hurt a couple times. Let's go ahead and call this one. Blow the whistle, please. He's always trying to keep the play alive, and he's always in harm's way.
I think you break that out in the Super Bowl.
I do think
Super Bowl, if that exact same thing happens,
shows up, I agree.
That look, and then the Super Bowl, that's where Mahomes just has to say, you know what, to hell with Devine. If we don't score, Rudy can't play. Okay, we got to run the play, man. No, we got to score. All right.
And I hear that of like save it for a high leverage moment and it will be there for you eventually. I do get that. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. But for an offense that's been pretty stuffy all year, just making the defense fear the possibility of the quarterback just timber and falling forward, I would think maybe it makes the defense think about one more thing and have to actually, like, I don't know, cover the middle of the football field.
Yeah, and you don't need the push. You don't need the tush push.
No.
At that point, there's no way with Tooney and Creed Humphrey essentially just having to double team one guy, he would fall forward for the yard.
It wouldn't have even. And again, just hand it to Jerick McKinnon there if you want. It's just
doing an AFC Championship game or Super Bowl. Yep, there you go.
Every time that someone's like, "Would you rather?" There was another one going around yesterday. Would you rather have $1 million or $10 million with 10 chances to get 5 yards in an NFL game? I'd rather have $1 million and 0 broken bones than $0 and 1 million broken bones. So
you get $10 million if you can get
5 yards in 10 carries or 10 yards in a game or something, some sort of hypothetical along those lines. Here's the thing. It's a stupid idea for any mere mortal to attempt. I'll take my million and live in relative health. I do think that if I was under center there, I could have tripped over and picked up the first down before some 300-pound defensive lineman fell on my back and broke my spine. But right in that moment, I think I could have gotten that yard. If I can secure the snap.
Yeah,
that's the skill. But I think I could just bring that up, bring it to my chest, and then just sort of dive forward like I'm jumping into a pool.
Could have even gone with, was it Rutgers that ran the Fumble-Rooski over the weekend?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't see that.
Oh, yeah, the quarterback under center getting ready to do the quarterback sneak, and he takes the snap and sticks it between his legs, and the running back grabs it and then runs for like 40 yards around the edge.
Put this in the playbook.
Yeah, I know, right? I think it was Rutgers.
It was Rutgers. Rutgers, Ohio State?
Yeah, Rutgers, Ohio State, the little Fumble-Rooski.
I didn't see this.
Yeah. Next thing you get, the annexation of Puerto Rico. And then also a movie you would have no idea what that's from. It's from Little Giants, okay?
I actually think I have seen Little Giants.
Good for you. Good for you. We'll take a time out. We'll
Hey,
come
this
back.
is fun.
The Fumble-Rooski?
Fumble-Rooski.
Yeah, you're darn right. We'll take a time out. Especially the call was like, he fumbled the ball. Nope, it picked up. They went back. It's like, no, he didn't fumble the ball. He stuck it between his legs.
Now, obviously, we should note the Chiefs will never do this for an obvious reason. Rutgers went for it on 4th down.
All right, wrapping up this hour, we'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. A little Learn Funniest Best with Mick in the second segment. We already did our Learn Funniest Best, but we want Mick's German. He has to actually give it to us in German. So
We have to at least figure out how to say learn funniest and best in German. I might make him do that.
I mean, I'll just put it in the Google machine.
I'm working on
try
it.
to figure it out there. I don't need a booklet of translation there to walk around. Just
I want Mick to have to work pretty hard for it.
It's funny. He said Mick work hard. Yeah, Mick.
We'll get Mick's gelernt, logesten, am besten.
Sounds like it's just saying learned in best, learned in funniestin and bestin.
Gelernt, am lustigsten, am besten.
I think the am is like an and. I put commas there, so I get added that in. I don't think we really need that.
Yeah, we don't need the and. It's not learn funniest and best. It's just learn funniest best. You know?
It's the. So it's adding in a the. And so it translates back loosely to learned the funniest, the best.
Oh, ridiculous.
Oh, now it's adding more letters. Oh, now it's translated to I learned the funniest and best things. I don't.
No, we don't need that.
That's not what we need.
Just
we don't
three
need
words. Just put the 3
Ich
words.
habe das lustigste und beste gelernt.
See, that's just learn funny. LFB.
Too
That's
much.
what we say.
How about LFB? What do you do with LFB here,
I have
German?
no idea. Why don't you just do learned individually, funniest individually, and best individually?
LFB.
That seemed like a simple translation.
Gelernt.
That's learned.
Okay.
Am lustigsten.
Still adding am for funniest. And still adding the am for bestin.
Am besten.
Here we go.
I don't know what's so complicated about this.
It's a different language. Seems to be that's the complication. Josh, did you not get that? Not understand that part of it?
Als nächstes kommt Mick Schaffer.
That's Mick Schaefer next. Or translating back to next up is Mick Schaefer.
All right.
What's next again?
Als nächstes ist Mick Schaffer an der Reihe.
I don't know what extra words it added, but it says next up is Mick Schaefer, so I sure hope he gets here.
Sports director. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Briscoe, Drake hanging out with us, and Mick Schaefer for the final hour here on this Wednesday edition. Hi, Mick. You look great. You look refreshed.
Thank you. I'm probably paler than when I left.
Does it feel 8 o'clock at night right now?
I'm back normal. I was like the Chiefs. I never got on the right page with the time and everything there. But I think with the Earth's angles and everything, the sun never hits Germany. So we saw it for a brief moment during the game because it's technically an open air stadium. So at the top of the seats, the concourse and everything, it's open for about a story right before you get to the canopy that was closed for the game. And we're like, oh my God, I see the sun. For 5 minutes, it was out.
It was actually just a picture of it.
It's like Aurora Borealis. You can once every 3 years see it from Kansas. It's like Germany. You can see the sun once every 3 years.
That's right. Somebody said that, from the Truman Show, like it's all just this created world. And then it's a picture, actually, of the moon on the outside. That was just a picture of the sun they put out there just to make people feel better. Like, we're missing the sun. Oh, the sun hasn't come out in 7 years.
Germany's pretty close to a police state, so I wouldn't be surprised. They could totally try to maybe pull that off.
Oh, I haven't seen that thing in 7 years. And, of course, we're in this stadium when that happens. What are the odds? And you walk outside and it's storming and raining
right?
and snow. It's like, you got me again.
A light falls from the cloud.
Das Sun.
That's it.
I speak a little German.
You just got to put Der or Das in front of it. You're good.
That's right. That's what we learned is that with the translation, it's just somebody with a German accent.
They got it. They speak my language over there. Everybody does. Now, typically the younger the person you're talking to, the more English they know. There's some holdovers that are, in the greatest generation that only have a little bit, and they don't have to learn. But I did.
Why don't you learn our language
everybody talks
in
my
your
language.
country?
I really appreciate that. I don't think it's no accident. I don't think that the NFL ended up there. It's Germany's most modern city. Only city in Germany with a skyline. It's the financial capital of Germany. It's it is an American city. It feels like in a lot of ways. What'd you eat over there? I'm like, burgers and pizza. I tried the schnitzel, but that was just for S's and G's. I didn't have to.
No, oddly enough, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner was bratwurst and sauerkraut.
Yes.
All 3 meals. It was odd. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I would have expected. Yes.
How was the schnitzel?
Schnitzel was good. I don't mind that. They had some green sauce, kind of a cold green sauce. I would have heated up, but that's fine. Had the apple wine. They're known for the apple wine. I think we talked about that over there. I enjoyed the bratwursts never match the bun. They're gigantic, and then they give you this kind of like this roll. It's not even a bun. It's a roll that they've cut up, and they're like, this is just really to hold it. It's kind of like a napkin. You're rarely gonna have a bite of bratwurst and bun in the same bite unless your mouth's the size of like the Cookie Monster or something like that.
So it's a Sheboygan and a Hawaiian sweet roll.
It feels like it. That's exactly what it is.
I think that's a great way of thinking about that. You didn't want to be holding
it's just a
bratwurst.
Yeah.
You got a little bread to kind of give yourself a little napkin and
stuff on your hand.
Soak up some flavor in the bread there. Well, that's not bad. I don't mind.
They don't expect you to eat
but
that
no sort
bun.
of condiments or anything on it. It's just like you would.
No, yeah, they're big on the mustard over there, so I appreciated that.
But how would you get the mustard on you just have to balance it then at the top of the brat?
This brat's huge. There's a lot of surface area on it. It can hold that. I can hold that mustard.
That's a great point. Yep, hold your mustard. There you go.
But we had a Frankfurter too, which is more like a hot dog. And supposedly, there are conflicting stories, but supposedly Frankfurt is the home of the Frankfurter, which would make sense, the original hot dog.
Did you learn what
I was
makes
your
those
age,
different?
Frankfurters cost a nickel.
I'm sure like a beef frank. I'm sure short for that, whatever. But I don't know, how did that happen? How did we decide hot dogs were gonna?
We just Americanized it.
Or did they Frankfurtize it?
No.
I feel like they were called Frankfurters before hot dogs.
Yeah, and then we brought them over here and we're like, let's call that what do we call that? I don't know. It looks like a dog. Yeah, but we don't want a cold dog.
Well, we already got a hamburger named after Hamburg. We can't make it all German fare over here.
Fries named after France here. I mean, come on. Let's get things together. Right? Let's just call it a hot dog or something, That sounds dumb. What do you think? I don't know, but they're here now. We need a name. Hot dog. Hot dog it is. Hey, everybody, we'd like to introduce to the World's Fair a hot dog. Isn't that a Frankfurter? No! Is that a Frankfurter, you idiot?
There's got to be a difference in how they're made, but I don't know them. So I'm interested in what took from bratwurst to Frankfurter, but that's okay. I'll do my own research.
I'm going to reach out to Tom Williams at Guaranteed Foods. He's got all the information on food and everything. He'll tell me.
Please explain. I need it to be guaranteed that you get this right.
Yes, it will be. It would be. And they're, all beef hot dogs, also guaranteed. Maybe they're Frankfurters. I don't know. I'll check.
I think they would fall under the umbrella of a Frankfurter then.
Okay. Mick, you all caught up on college basketball from Monday night? Yeah, you all got all the. Did you watch every single game on the plane or
Mick,
in the
you
layover
left,
in
and
Denver?
they started playing college basketball early this year.
See what happens when you go to a different country? There's a whole nother sport starting.
It wasn't
up.
even Halloween night when I left. I come back and like the Jayhawks and Tigers have combined for 200 points.
That's right.
So-
And apparently USC has a stud freshman not named Bronny.
Yeah,
So-
learned that as well.
Isaiah
So I
Collier.
was getting updates. I mean, those international flights, they take care of you, and you can do text messaging and everything, get the Wi-Fi and everything, and you have hundreds of movies to choose from. So I'm all caught up on all the John Wicks and all the Indiana Joneses now I've seen, and a lot of Veep. Watched a lot of Veep as well,
Yes.
and so didn't sleep at all. But it was literally the longest day of my life on Monday, 31 hours. My Monday was 31 hours.
It's a great point.
You don't want to have a 31-hour Monday, a 31-hour Friday
That's
or
the
Saturday.
worst, right? Give me a
but-
31-hour Saturday.
That's right. Yeah. Extend the Sunday for 7 more hours because, like, you know what? I just don't want to go to work yet.
But to be fair, I only had an 18-hour Tuesday, the Tuesday before.
You know,
so,
that's a
yeah.
good point. Yeah, you kicked the hours down the
I
road
did.
to Monday.
Like the salary cap.
You're going to eventually pay for that.
You got to
like how
avoid
the Chiefs
Tuesday.
are paying for Travis Kelce.
He voided Tuesday's hours. It's like, oh man, you were a dead cap yesterday.
I was a lot of dead cap.
Taking that dead cap hit. So the game's over and you're doing all your work and everything after that. Did you get a chance to like sit back and watch sporting? Can you do that there and watch,
No.
or just getting updates?
I'll tell you a story. So let me bring up if you can, Josh, Eric Tommy, Wikipedia, right, where he played. So we're out to eat Thursday night at this historic restaurant. It's called Apfelwein Wagner, right? It's like the original. It's been around for 100. That's the deal. We in America, we've got to worry about like I don't know, a couple hundred years of history, right?
Yeah.
Over there, it's like a couple thousand, right?
Really?
it's a lot of history they got. So it's
older
been
than
around
we are?
forever, and they're known for their apple wine. They're so bold they didn't even serve beer there. It's just apple wine. So like everybody's like, you got to go there. So we go there with our German tour guide, and you don't sit at a table yourself. You sit with other people. So we met this great German family. Huge soccer fans. They love Eintracht Frankfurt over there, which is the soccer club in the Bundesliga, which is they're a pretty good team in the Bundesliga. I was like, close to being relegated? Like, no, not even close. Okay, good.
American.
Right. So I start talking about MLS, and they start just laughing in my face. I'm like, wait a second.
That's
I was
Major
like,
League.
We have a German player that plays a lot over on Sporting Kansas City. His name's Eric Tommy. Never heard of him, they said, in perfect English. I'm like, well, he's from Ulm, which I looked up, ULM, I think, which is just south of Frankfurt. Oh, no, Ulm. Who did he play for? So start naming where he played.
You want his youth career or his senior career? We got
youth,
everything.
You go ahead. You're the German pronunciation expert.
Okay, so
You
I'm
go to
like,
town.
I start reading off on my phone. SV Kindbeer, and they start laughing. SSV, oh my! At this point, the guy has his glasses off. He's crying, laughing at this point. I'm like, he played for TSG, so and so, FC Augsburg, and so I finally get right before we got to MLS. Finally get to one of his clubs he played for. And they're like, okay, that's a respectable club right there. But it was almost like he
That
played
Fortuna
A-man football
Düsseldorf?
at Caldwell. Then he went to Southwestern College, right? Then he graduated to Emporia State, and you're trying to talk at like NFL level football, right?
You're talking to a guy who like is all about Alabama and LSU, and you're like, well, he played NAIA.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
Yes.
come on, man.
So no, we weren't
he was a St.
able to
Louis
watch.
Battlehawk. What are you laughing at?
Yeah.
Oh, they had an MLS team?
No, I was
Oh, it was a
continuing the
diff-
football analogy.
Because you got to remember that game started at 4:30 here.
Yep.
One of those
So
two.
it
That'd
was
have been,
1
11?
o'clock by the time it got over.
Yeah.
In Germany, but we were still up editing and watching the 3 o'clock window of football games they had on in our lobby bar, but they did not have MLS playoffs, so I was keeping track for my buddy who was there and on Twitter and everything. Internet worked great. It's so funny. We had to maybe part of my Learn Funny is best, but we hunted down the Oklahoma State Oklahoma game and the Missouri Georgia game, and it was great. It was glorious. It was like a portal back to the States for about 3 hours there, and so. But I mean, anywhere else, they ask you like, "Hey, do anybody here show college football?" And they start laughing at you like you asked them about. You start talking about American soccer. And so, but I watched my son's game perfectly Friday night.
I saw the picture. Yeah.
Nothing with no glitches, nothing stream. There was one instance where the stream went down, but that was from a Shawnee's end. That was from America's end. It wasn't our fault. But I can watch high school football, but not college football over here.
Wow.
But I was not able to catch that game. And then afterward, it's like a typical Chiefs game, right? We're swamped with doing interviews and all that stuff, and then getting back to the hotel was an adventure. Everything over there was just a lot more difficult. I can't believe they let us drive. I can't believe they give us a card, and there's no. It's like you're fine. The signs are in different languages, obviously. Just the images, the symbols over there for stop or yield, they're completely different.
See that.
You get
just give me the symbols, and
there's
I'd be fine.
There's no north, south, east, west. I think it's against the law maybe to have a road go north or south. Everything's just winding, and like you get to an intersection, there's probably 6 to 8 options as to what you can do there. and my phone will be saying take a right, and there's 3 options for right. I showed it to Jason, my photographer who was driving. I'm like, just try one, man. Just try the middle one. And if you miss an exit like we did, it's not like, oh, a mile down the road, we'll hit the clover, turn around, come back. You might have made a 30-minute mistake, and we did a couple times. So I'm like, thank goodness they drive on the right side of the road. Had you thrown in the whole, UK driving on the left side, we would have died. Pretty simple. But it's so funny. I'm like, you know what? You took driver's ed as a 14-year-old in Caldwell, Kansas. That's enough. Go ahead. Go ahead, drive on our roads that have no speed limits.
You can point out what a car looks like. Yeah, you're good.
You're good. Yeah,
you've seen one.
And they're the nicest cars, right? They're all Volkswagens and BMWs and
they're safe.
Mercedes and Audis and everything. Yeah, but everything's so skinny. Like all the lanes are very narrow. All the parking garages are very narrow.
I know this car, honey.
And parking is a privilege over there. It is saved for the 1%. I'm only barely joking because there are so many parking garages that will not let you get in, or you can get in and you just can't get out.
Sorry.
And like here, you would be like, you know what? Whatever it takes, I'm going to get in and I'll pay when I get out, right? Whatever it is, even if it's $50, whatever. It's not an option. You go to leave and you're not paying there. There's upstairs. You should have gone and paid up there to get another ticket. And now you're holding up a line. You got to back out and you're in a foreign country. And then you go up and you're like, hey, can we pay for this? No, it's you have to have a Metro card to pay for this. Well, we didn't know. It was on the sign. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was on the
German.
sign. And you know what? There probably was English on it because there's English all over the place, especially in Frankfurt. But parking, it was such a hassle. We spent so much time and money and effort and mistakes on parking over there.
Todd had some stories about after that Oklahoma and Oklahoma State game about you enjoying yourself a little bit, and then the text string with Todd, and maybe sending him multiple texts of the same one because you may have forgotten that you sent a text earlier because you might have been enjoying yourself at like 3 a.m.
Absolutely true.
Every word.
Every word of that was true.
All of it.
I was very nice to Todd. Todd reached out to me. I did not. I didn't text any of my. I texted any of my OU buddies.
Yeah, I don't think
he was very nice.
At my drunk texts were actually just texts of football.
Corey Anderson, who was also on that thread, was not nice to Todd. He had a lot of unwell wishes for Oklahoma going to the SEC.
Were there any words that were not school appropriate?
Yeah, even words that weren't radio appropriate, which I didn't think existed. But yeah.
For Corey, he didn't care about words that were or were not radio appropriate. He would just let him rip.
It's funny. There was it was in the Chiefs Hotel bar. They had 3 bars down there, and one of them was called Champions. And I was texting with Danon Hughes, and I met up with him. And I was like, "Have you heard a story on the OU State game?" He's like, "You mean this one right here?" He points up. There's a TV right there. Like, oh my god! And I told the crew that was with us, I'm like, "We're here the rest of the night.
Yeah,
There's no, you can leave. You can leave.
Right.
I'm going to be here." And there were so many Chiefs fans there, and it was a great time. A lot of Mizzou fans there because that game's going on at the same time with Georgia. Whole place is going nuts. It felt like an American bar, and sure enough, there was an OU grad over in the corner who thought some call of pass interference should have been made. I don't know. It was rich, an OU fan bitching about a call in Bedlam. It was rich, and so, but we made nice at the end of the night.
That's good.
So it was. But you got to remember, that game get over at like 6. So that was got over at midnight German time.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, I celebrated like I had something to do with it.
Did Missouri throw an interception in Germany as well on in the fourth quarter, down 6 at the 50-yard line?
No,
did that happen?
They
in
won over there. It's weird. It's
knew
like
it.
the exchange rate.
Oh man, I should have watched it in German. I would have had such a better fourth quarter afternoon if I'd have watched it in German. Hey buddy, I got news for you. Can't wait to pick Everett up and tell him what happened in Germany. So yeah.
We were. It felt like we were watching a different language when they were debating. What was it late? That call that took forever. Like, did the ball get to the line of scrimmage or something like that?
Oh,
or there was an
intentional
OPI or a
grounding.
DPI and they took it away or they added it.
It's offensive pass interference, and they're like, well, if the ball got to the line of scrimmage,
That's
then
what I was guessing.
It was
It
not
didn't get there or something like
landed
that.
a half yard short, so therefore
And so they
it was
took
not.
away. Yeah, that was
Took
off.
off, but they made sure to keep the defensive pass interference when the actual receiver didn't even know the ball was in the air.
Right,
so
yeah.
Totally catchable because the ball landed 15 yards behind him, and he was looking
What's
around
the
like,
rule on that? Is it
football?
catchable if the receiver's not even looking at it, even if it's like close to him?
It's
Is
not
it
catchable.
called
No. Can it
catchable?
be? Did the person impede the ability to catch the ball, and it did not impede his ability to catch the ball because he wasn't catching the ball if nobody was around
I
him?
have found I did notice and remember that Georgia defensive backs have graduated to the level of Alabama defensive backs to where like you can do whatever you want. You're going to be a first round pick. Okay, well you can play right now like it's already the NFL.
I trust that you know what you're
It's
doing.
like exactly the better you are, more you can get away with. Okay,
Yes.
Got to know the rules to break the rules, buddy. You're
That's
in that
right.
club.
What was the atmosphere like in the stadium for the
Amazing.
game?
Oh, it's amazing. It's great. It's an open air press box, so you
Yeah.
got to experience
that's
it. It's not
awesome.
like 9 stories high.
That's awesome.
And it was, I mean, it wasn't 53 players swooping in to play a neutral site game. They brought a huge chunk of the entire organization over there. The Chiefs PA announcer was the
Yeah,
PA
that's
announcer
right.
there.
I heard that in the
The
background,
press
yeah.
box PA announcer that does Pacheco 4 yards. Same guy. I don't know who it is. I wish I did. I should have met him. We met so many marketing people who had been there. That was there. I mean, that wasn't the first time there. They've been there several times over the last 18 months. And this was, it felt like a home game, and everybody was there from the Chiefs. It was a really cool experience. It's not like, it felt in so many ways like a Super Bowl, and just like the Super Bowl, it sounds obvious, but it is totally true. The game is by far the best part. The 10 days leading up, whatever, all the anticipation. Okay? The game this past week was by far the best part. And they, the scoreboard, it was blocking punts, right?
Which was great.
You had the kiss cam. You had all the same in-game entertainment that you would have at Arrowhead. I assume I don't get to experience it there. We can't even hear right from the press box. So we're lower. You get to see a lot more of the game. It was funny, like out and about. I mean, we touched all corners of Frankfurt, man. We were all over the place. It was 95+% Chiefs fans.
Wow.
I remember seeing in the days leading up maybe 4 or 5 Dolphins fans. That's it. And granted, we're around Chiefs stuff. We're the Chiefs ship a lot and all that. In the crowd, maybe 85% Chiefs, I would say, and then maybe 10% Dolphins, or maybe let's go 75% Chiefs. 15% Dolphins, and then 10 just like Packers jerseys, right? Or Patriots jerseys, because we talked that one night. I couldn't figure out, well, why am I in a Panthers bar? I'm like, well, they have the rights to Germany as well. So that we just happened to find their restaurant that they're putting up pictures of the players who I don't even think Carolina people know who plays for the Panthers.
Yeah,
but
it's
nobody knows
Adam
who they
Thielen,
are. Yeah,
Bryce Young.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that's it.
That's it.
They got posters of "Have you seen this person?" and then Panthers players. So it's like,
It's like,
which
oh,
one is
that's-
which?
Look, it's Julius Peppers. That's cool. I didn't know.
Why is Cam Newton?
Yeah, right.
Ronald Curry? That's weird. There was somebody texted in from Germany on Monday. Said I'm in Germany listening. Said I was at the game and it felt like it looked like 6-1 or 8-1 Chiefs to Dolphins fans in the stadium.
And I mean, every part of it felt like a home game, and that was part of it. The fans as well. Though I have to imagine if the Chiefs were the quote unquote visiting opponent in the UK against the Jaguars or something like that, there would be more than like 10 or 15 or even 20% Chiefs fans there.
Oh, yeah.
I think it'd
totally
be way
agree.
closer to have, especially if they're playing the Jags.
It's not like the Chiefs flew out their season ticket holders for the game. And it's like, well, it was all Chiefs fans. Well, yeah, it was a home game for them.
And
Well,
part
no.
of it too. I mean, there's there's so many German Chiefs fans who've never been to a game in the States or have never been to the States, but they've bought into the marketing there. They want it feels like, and I was talking Saturday night, there's this huge Chiefs event thrown by Das Kingdom.
Yeah.
Which is the Kingdom.
Oh.
Learned Spanish? That on Babbel, yeah. Which is it's a big German podcast over there of Chiefs fans. And then the Frankfurt Galaxy, right, which is the American football team over there. We went and visited them. They're not the same iteration as the old Frankfurt Galaxy, right? Because they're part
Spags
of the NFL.
was coaching.
Yeah, different, but they had to go through the NFL and license the name, same logo and everything. So I was talking with some of their owners, and because I equated it to, I'm like, this kind of feels like their league anyway, the ELF, the European Football League, feels like MLS like 25 years ago, right? There's some fledgling years there, right? He said it's a good example, although MLS just has always had more money than we have here, because the Frankfurt Galaxy, they're one of the better teams as far as financial backing and stability in that league, but because it's all over Europe, it's not just Germany, it's all over Europe. And but that's my comparison, I guess. It feels like MLS, NFL over there feels like MLS, or American football, I should say, about 20, 25 years ago, to where it was like a niche thing, and then it turned into like, you know what, the cool kids are watching sporting.
That's right.
And now, I don't know how you'd characterize it. I would characterize it as pretty close to mainstream in this town.
Yes.
I mean, pretty close. There are casual fans of sports that know Sporting's in the playoffs, know they just won, have been to a game at Children's Mercy Park. It's beyond the cool thing or a cult thing or a niche thing. It is, I mean, it's right up, Sheesh Roll Sporting, right after that. And so that's what it kind of felt like to me, American football over there. But everywhere we went, man, they were passionate about it. And Frankfurt was another comparison, Frankfurt getting an NFL game felt like Kansas City getting the World Cup. Now, obviously, it hasn't come yet, but our reaction to it of like, look at us. Who would have thought, right? 5-10 years ago, who would have thought little old Kansas City would be getting a World Cup, be one of the sites, be hosting games and all that stuff? Because they said the same type of stuff in kind of some broken English, but they're like, who would have thought of all the cities you could land in Europe, all over the place, they chose Frankfurt as one of their first games, outside the UK, right? It's only the third game ever. It's only the second regular season game ever in Germany. They did Munich last year. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's Paris, right? In France, Spain, Italy, all this stuff. But no, we're coming to Frankfurt for 2 games. And the way they reacted and the way it looked there, I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be more on a regular basis in that time.
To your point about it feeling like the MLS, I was going to the ELF website looking at the teams, like, oh, Barcelona Dragons, great team name. Hold on a second. When I left the Barcelona game that Renee and I went to on our honeymoon, when we left that, there were people handing out flyers for the Barcelona Dragons schedule. Yeah. And it's like, hey, just showing everybody there's American football. So I took a picture of one of the schedule they were handing out, but it's from the ELF. Those are my Barcelona Dragons.
There you go.
But at that party that night, they had a couple of the Frankfurt Galaxy football players there, dressed in their uniforms and everything. I can remember when the Wizards were doing that. Like some function, let's bring a couple of them. Mm-hmm. No way Sporting would. They don't have to do that now, right? You don't have to get the players to just,
St. Louis
drum up attention
to.
here. Although, I mean, St. Louis does. Although,
they an off-season
they're the most accessible, team and league and all that stuff. But you don't have to do that anymore. So that's one of the many reasons why it felt similar to that.
And Frankfurt got the game that is the most watched game on NFL Network history.
Had to be.
With 9 million and change average viewers at 8:30 in the morning Central Time here. Yeah, the most watched NFL game on NFL Network ever.
Did help that we gained an hour the night before, right? So getting up at 8:30,
it's like 9:30. Wow,
9:30.
I'm refreshed here. Let's go. It was. We'll take a break and get your Learn Funniest Best. I think we got a lot of those there, but Learn Funniest Best. It was crazy. We were talking about this on Monday that the noon games felt like the 3:30 window. So I'm watching. It's like 2 o'clock. and I'm like thinking it's like 4:30 or 5, and I'm like, oh wow, we're just at the witching hour of the first window. Oh my God, I got football all day. What am I gonna do with myself? Oh, my son's birthday party celebration. They ruin everything. We'll take a time out. We'll come back, and we'll hear Mick's learned funniest best from Germany, and get into a couple of other little nuggets that we've talked about in the show so far, and who Mick thinks the sexiest man alive is. More next.
The 16th ranked Jayhawks are back home at Memorial Stadium on Saturday, and a limited number of seats are still available at ticketsforless.com. With some tickets starting under $40 and the fact that you never pay service fees, Tickets for Less is your go-to source for the best seats. Plus, score extra savings now when you use promo code 810 on your next ticket purchase at ticketsforless.com. Shop KU, K-State, Mizzou, or any other seats to your next event and save big with code 810 at ticketsforless.com.
All right, this Wednesday edition of The Zone, we've got Hawk Talk with Lance Leipold coming up at 6 o'clock. She's on the mic with Bethany Bowman coming up at 7 o'clock tonight right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. And then either Sterling Holmes or Jack Johnson tonight. One of them will be doing the show. I don't know. I said one of them last night, and they're like, no, it's the different one. I'm like, okay, well, we know we're switching around.
Are they different people to you? They're the same person to me.
Yeah.
Stu Johnson.
They're different people
Jack
to me.
Holmes.
They're different people to me because I like Jack Johnson.
There it is.
Bang.
Sterling
Loves his
Johnson.
music.
And
He's never gotten sick of that
Jack Holmes. Yeah, I bet he hasn't. Like me with Mr. Anderson.
Wait, is that a thing?
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
It used to be a lot.
Hey,
like every couple of years.
Like, are you old Cardinal sketcher Danny Schaefer? Get that all the time. No.
Are you Paul Schaefer?
Paul Schaefer.
No. We spell it exactly the same, though. No, we don't. All right, so Learn Funny's Best for you, Mick. We did ours on Monday. We're not going to rehash them.
Let's go.
For that. You wouldn't care anyway. But what'd you learn in Germany?
So I learned this in Germany. It's not. It has to do with the NFL, but I was in Germany
Yes.
and I learned it. Have you guys talked about the circle of parity yet?
No.
In the NFL?
Has it been fully fulfilled?
Completed.
Love
Does
it.
it get completed every year?
Yeah, absolutely. But this seems
It
pretty
does?
early, though. I don't know. I mean, I said that pretty confidently.
I can't
If you
imagine
have
by week 8.
No, by week 8, I think is special. Because if you have an undefeated or a one-loss team, you might not be able to do it.
The circle of parity is just transitive property for everybody.
Right. It's that everyone's beating everybody if you expand it enough.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I had the whole circle. I was going to say it, but you guys talked
I want to know.
Fine.
We haven't talked about it. I want to know what the circle was. Sometimes it's fun to be like, oh, I forgot they beat the Bills or whatever. It's fun.
Jets.
It starts with it can
Did the
start anywhere.
Did the
'cause
Broncos
there's,
beating the Chiefs? Is that a bridge? I wonder. I don't know. I'm trying to think
no,
of a
because
Lions.
the
Could've been
the Lions are above the Chiefs, and then the Jets are below. Like the Chiefs have beaten. Let's do. I guess it doesn't matter where it starts because it's a circle.
Right.
We'll start with the Chiefs.
Okay.
Chiefs beat the Jets, who beat the Eagles, who beat the Vikings, who beat the Niners, who beat the Steelers, who beat the Browns, who beat the Titans, who beat the Bengals, who beat the Rams, who beat the Seahawks, who beat the Giants, who beat the Cardinals, who beat the Cowboys. That was probably a big step there.
That's big.
Who beat the Chargers, who beat the Raiders, who beat the Patriots, who beat the Bills. Another big step there. Bills beat the Dolphins. Dolphins beat the Broncos by 1,000.
And Broncos beat the Chiefs.
Nope. Broncos beat the Packers.
Oh,
a long way to go, guys.
Sorry.
Packers beat the Bears. Bears beat the Commanders. Commanders beat the Falcons. Falcons beat the Bucks.
Right.
Bucks beat the Saints. Saints beat the Panthers. Panthers beat the Texans. Texans beat the Jaguars. Can you take us home from there?
No, because
Jaguars beat the Colts.
No, I can't.
Colts beat the Ravens. Can you take us home from there?
Yes.
Ravens beat the Seahawks.
The Ravens beat the Lions.
Ravens beat the Lions.
And the Lions beat the Chiefs.
There it
Lions
is.
beat the Chiefs.
What
Circle
a
of parity.
circle. It's the circle of parity.
If you'd have got it to Lions, I would have taken it home.
Could have gotten it from there for sure.
That's wild to me that it was
Week 9. It's already
I
done.
can't imagine every year it's complete, is it?
Well, in a year when you have an 0-16 team or whatever, it definitely did. And if you
No, even
if,
like a 14-2 or
but right, and-
15-2.
And if you have a 2-win or a 2-loss team, there definitely could be some years that it never gets completed. I always celebrate it as a holiday when I realize it has been completed, though. So I appreciate that.
So you clearly celebrated this at a holiday on Wednesday when it was completed
Right.
on
I
Sunday.
said when
Nice
I
job.
find out that I know about it.
Oh, okay. So the
When I
holiday
find out
is
that it
random.
happened.
It's like, when did you celebrate Christmas? February 2nd.
Yeah.
Why?
Man,
Well, that's
you
when I found out it was Christmas.
Need some holiday time. man.
Found out there was Christmas this year.
Exactly.
When? February 2nd.
So you got just all me,
Yeah.
right?
We
Funniest?
did ours. Yeah. What's your funniest?
I learned funniest. It's more of a learned, but it was a funny. It's a fun moment. It's the funnest moment. I learned they don't have Fireball in Germany. They have something similar to Three Amigos. We got something like beer. We got something like Fireball. So I ordered a shot for everybody at the table after Oklahoma State beat Oklahoma.
As one does.
As one does. On my own credit card, not the station. And so they Fireball. Like, no, we don't have Fireball. I'm like, you have something close? We have something close. So I got 10 shots of, anybody want to guess?
Fireball.
Jägermeister.
Hey,
They're not
excellent.
close.
And that's
at
not
all.
like Fireball.
They're not close. They're both liquids. That's
We
the
have-
only thing they have in common.
We have ball fire. We don't have Fireball.
And so
I'm going
that
to take
was,
Jägermeister.
That was a
can give you-
disappointment to everybody who in the place that I bought a shot for, who had been cheering for Oklahoma State because I had threatened their lives, and then they immediately regretted Oklahoma State. Were like, this is what happens when OSU wins. I don't want this, but they took it. And they and so did I. It
Good
was
for
great.
them. Good for them. That's being team players. Team players. This is
so-
what happens when Oklahoma State wins? Yes. I don't want that to happen. It doesn't very often. You're fine.
You should see what we drink when Oklahoma State loses.
That's right. That's the ball fire.
Actually, I would say like a second funniest is the a lot of funny quotes from the Chiefs. They really tried hard at press conference day on Friday. A lot of funny stuff. Like Chris Jones. First of all, I said the flight was great. The coaches were in the back. We loved it. I was walking around talking on the phone, and then when they were asking Kelsey, everybody about Tyreek Hill's comments about they're going to get this work, which by the way was my question.
It's you.
And Kelsey was trying to be diplomatic about it, and he had a funny line about like, you know what? He's talked a lot of smack before about just pick up games in the locker room in basketball, and I've seen him lose plenty of those too.
Great line.
And then Chris Jones goes, you know what, guys? Sometimes we just say stuff.
We just talk.
Sometimes we just talk. I'm like, that's so perfect for him, especially for Chris Jones.
Yes, absolutely.
That was very funny. And instead of a cheeseburger joke, we had a bratwurst joke from Andy. So that was good.
That's right.
Good.
He's got to Germanize it.
Yeah, Germanize it
for sure. What was the best?
So the best, I'll go from that same day. So. Well, the day before, we had Dolphins availability. And granted, they had 3 days of it, but this was Tyreek's day, so it was going to be the biggest day. There were maybe 20 of us in the room, counting 2 of us from KSHB, 2 from the Miami station. A couple star guys were there. Sam and Vahe were there already, and it was really laid back. And they were at Frankfurt Galaxy's facility for their practice and availability. And so I'm like, this is going to be great. Friday, it was about 300 people or more for the Chiefs. It was, again, felt like a home game.
I saw pictures, and I was like, okay, well, this is the Chiefs availability. So if you're going to talk to the Chiefs, it's today. Where the Dolphins, it was like you had Wednesday, you had Thursday, you had Friday. You had a few days that you can get there and ask some questions and do some of those things. But
I feel like Thursday was probably the most they had people there, and there was no real reason. I mean, Tyreek was what everybody wanted to see, and so they're taking the media out there, and there's a few of us from KC, but of the 300 people there, 290 don't know how the Chiefs do it, right? And as they're walking them out, we'll have about 5 minutes, and I turned to everybody, I was like, no, 5 is 2. 5 is 2 minutes. They say that in America too. We'll have because it's a fast Friday. It's Fast Friday, and so. And just groans, right? Like, what? Really? We can't shoot the whole practice? Whatever. And so, sure enough, they put us up on this kind of like this elevated area, kind of a hill in the corner, so far away from where they are. And I told my photographer, Chase, I was like, the drill. Don't stop recording. Just as one big clip and get us, get on Mahomes for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, whip over to Kelsey. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where's Andy Reid? Right? Just get it like that. And as they're holding us there, there's German photographers, UK, whatever. They're we're not supposed to be shooting yet, but they're getting video and they're getting pictures. In the Chiefs PR staff, it's like, you can't shoot right now. You cannot. You're not supposed to. And more than one German reporter yelled, "It's a free country!" I'm like, oh, this is great. What's gonna happen? They throwing it right back at him.
Good.
And so I'm like, yeah, it is.
It is.
And I'm like, who wins out in that authoritarian battle, NFL or Germany?
I think Germany wins out. I think on that day where the Chiefs
that
PR,
day,
on that day,
yeah.
Chiefs PR was like,
they were outmanned.
Okay, yeah,
take our credential, we don't care, right? It's like whatever.
Oh no, I can't cover the Chiefs in Frankfurt next year. Oh wait, next or the year after that. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
And so it's a free country.
That guy's right.
They were at, I think they were at Chiefs were at a lower level soccer club facilities where they practiced and did stuff.
Like when we're here, the team lets us do whatever we want.
Yeah.
Here, okay, nobody comes and covers this team that we're here at this facility
and shutting everybody down. All right, that's a wrap, guys. And the Kansas City people, we put our cameras down because we know. Oh, that was just a suggestion to almost everybody. It took them so long to corral everybody. They're getting shots and pictures as they're getting ushered out because they're
almost, sir.
They're
almost.
not used to the NFL rules, or at least the Chiefs rules.
I'm just going to keep recording until there's some plays. Yeah. You guys, once you guys start, I want some B-roll of you guys actually running some plays and things and practice it, and then we'll.
Can you show us some of the stuff you're going to use in the game on Sunday?
Yes. I need some of those things. That'd be good. Do you have a 3rd and 1 play that's going to be like a pass or something? I want that one. All right, we'll take a time. You don't have a quarterback sneak? All right, guys, we can go. We can go. Let's go. I thought we were going to get the tush push. There's no tush. Guys, there's no tush push here. Okay, let's go. Taylor Swift isn't here either? What are we doing? We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Wrap the show next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The world's sexiest man alive was named and revealed last night on Jimmy Kimmel, and it is
Who was it?
McDreamy, Patrick Dempsey.
Whoa, he's still?
Yeah.
Are we 20 years beyond
I think
that?
he's 57.
He's 57. I think
Whoa,
he's
whoa,
the
whoa.
second or third
But then
oldest.
Jason Kelsey was nominated for
Jason
it, right?
Kelsey is one of the people. One of the people. One of the men that was being considered, I guess, as a finalist, or at least he will be a part of the magazine. So he
Okay.
will
But
be.
we know the winner already.
The winner was
Okay.
revealed, and so then I don't know when the issue comes out.
What
Probably
has
in the
Patrick
next week
Dempsey
or so.
been on any time?
Isn't he still on
recently?
Grey's Anatomy? Is that
That's
still
On
what-
a-
I know it's still going.
On
He's
his
still on it.
grind, man. He looks great.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you
That's
got
great. It was a very bold choice. Remember back in the day when he was like 20 and he was in all those like rom-coms and they played him off as very sexy. I wasn't buying it back then. Then he grew up and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
you got it going on, Patrick.
Well, you know, and here's the thing.
Can't buy me love.
Yeah, can't buy me love. Donald. He said in the interview that when he got notified, because he's known for a while, when he got notified that he had won the sexy, then he went on a diet and was working out for the photo shoot. So the photo shoot you see was not actually when he was named sexiest.
wow.
That's not the sexiest man alive
He
right
got
there.
sexier.
That absolutely. That's a step up. They thought he was the sexiest man alive before he dieted and started working out. Maybe they're like, I don't know, is he sexy? He's a little too skinny now. Should we? Jason Kelsey. Let's go the other way. You know what? This is a new age sexy. This guy is manly sexy, and he's got the dad bod, which is so in right now. And you know he's got a Super Bowl win. His brother is sexy. So why don't we just go with Jason Kelsey then? I feel like we already told Patrick Dempsey that. All right, let's just do it, man. Next time, make sure the guy doesn't work out before the photo shoot, please.
How many tush pushes has McDreamy ever run?
Yeah, I don't know.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, Jason Kelsey is one of the other 6 people that they put out as a
There's
preview
only
yesterday.
6 or 7?
Well, they put out a preview of 6 different people that will be in the
What an
upcoming
accomplishment.
issue.
Well done,
that were not
And Travis
the winner.
isn't one of them.
Well, see, here's where a confusion comes in because
It's a fan voting category. Is the specific whatever the sports category is?
in People Magazine Sexiest Man Alive, they will have a fan voting and sexiest athlete. Fan voting, shocker, Travis Kelsey. Won. I'm not sure where he got all the votes from.
I know a group.
Not sure where the last minute boost came in to put him over the top.
I can think of a dangerous crew, as Tyreek would call them.
That's exactly right. Yes. Travis Kelsey, number 1. Lewis Hamilton, British race car driver, number 2.
Omar Infante, number 3, weirdly.
It's a vote Omar. Joe Burrow, number 3.
Yeah, I don't
and,
get that. If you look like Macaulay Culkin,
I agree.
I just don't get it.
It's
yeah.
And then Shohei Ohtani, number 4.
Oh, okay.
The Swifties beat out an entire country.
They did.
I mean, you had a country voting for Ohtani, and the Swifties were like, we got this.
We got this.
Don't worry, Trav. Killer Trav, we got this. You are the sexiest athlete that's out there. So apparently Jason and Travis will be a part of the – because why not? There should be more Kelsey in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit more Kelsey.
I saw Donna Kelsey on the Chiefs ship on Friday.
Oh,
she
yeah?
was very popular. Everybody taking pictures,
Did
and
you see
autographs.
on her on the airplane? When she got on the plane with a bunch of Chiefs fans heading
did
over to
not.
Germany, she walked on and everybody's like,
did.
whoa! They started like clapping for her and everything and taking video and like, hey, you gave birth to Travis Kelsey.
Yeah.
How about that, huh? He's dating Taylor Swift now.
I wanted to tell her, like, hey, just a few days ago, somebody at our Halloween party went as you.
I would have showed her the picture.
Yeah.
Here's Donna Kelsey. There's people in our neighborhood went as Donna Kelsey, Travis Kelsey, I think Jason Kelsey, and Chiefsaholic in the wolf mask, holding a bag of money.
That's pretty good.
Has there been a Mick Schaefer costume yet that you've been notified of?
No.
I feel like that
Does not exist,
I
won't exist.
feel like that could exist.
What's
You're on
gonna be
television.
the hook, though? What do you? How are you going to know it's me? What are you going to wear? That's
It's gonna have to be your most Oklahoma Statey TV look.
No,
so it's gonna have to be like some pretty specific tailoring. I don't know.
No, here it is. So
Golden Girls T-shirt under a sport coat.
No, so Donna Kelsey, we know when you wear like the jacket with the Eagles and the Chiefs sort of set, he would have a random T-shirt under some sort of a button-up that is Mill Valley and then Oklahoma State.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that works. You got it. It's gonna have to combine, and then maybe the shortest swim trunks you've ever seen.
And still nobody would get it.
And flip-flops.
A lot of guys, by the way, true
mic.
story here. A lot of people came up to me and said, listening to The Zone every day. I'm like, every other day, but I'll allow it. Love you guys on the show. I'm like, thank you.
It's awesome.
It's like, assume you meant myself and Drake, but yeah.
That's right. That's right. I listen to you on the. I love you in The Zone. What else do you do?
I get that all the time.
Anything else outside
All the
of The
time.
Zone? Love that you're in
A
there.
lot of people that don't watch TV news.
I watch TV.
Thank
I
you.
missed you on Sunday Sound Off. Aaron was okay.
Okay.
That's right.